Stand up, New York Giants fans. Baddog, it's a lot easier to say stand up after we get a win.
Yes. It wasn't pretty, but we'll take it. Nothing's ever easy for us, but a win is a win. And if we could just play the Commanders every week, we'd be Super Bowl contenders. No.
Hey, a win's, like you said, there's no such thing as an ugly win, especially when you're the New York Giants in recent history. A win's a win. So super pumped up, specifically the way the defense played. The defense has been, and I know it's Washington, like you just said, but still, the defense was incredible in that game. The defenses look better and better week over week, which is why, and I'm sure we're going to talk about the Jets game a lot in this stream, but it's why I think we have a really good chance this week. I think it's going to be a close game. They got a great defense too. I'm not going to downplay that, but I think our defense is going to keep us in this game and keep us in most games going forward. I think we have a good defense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually posted, I tweeted out today. I was like, give me a prediction. My prediction was 16-13 Giants. There's a couple of guys that are like 3-2, 2-0. And I'm like, yeah, if anybody could be a 0-0 tie, it'd be the Jets and the Giants, because I mentioned this weeks ago. They're kind of mirror images of one another. Nobody's really scared with Zach Wilson, obviously not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
If we were playing Aaron Rodgers, it would be a different story. But Zach Wilson's got 5 interceptions, 4 touchdowns. You know, he's been pressured 30% of the time. In the last 3 games, I know that we got 6 sacks against Washington. We also have 6 turnovers in the last 3 games. We have a lot more pressures and quarterback hits in the last 3 games. And yeah, last week was definitely the best game the defense played. Obviously, we knew Washington had a bad line. Sam Howell was sacked 40 times going into that game. We had 5 sacks all of the season. We ended up with 6 in that game. But we've seen a lot more. But it started in the San Francisco game, in my opinion, as you saw pressure. We weren't getting there, but you saw the push up front. You saw Dexter Lawrence start to go. You saw Kayvon Thibodeau start to go. He had a couple sacks in that game. He has 5.5 in the year, and I'm sure we'll talk about him because obviously we know the deal, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, the defense, like you said, it's going to keep us in most games. And as long as we run the ball and we continue to be balanced where we're stretching the field, if we can put up 17 to 20 points, we got a really good chance every week because of how good the defense is playing. And this is no exception here. I don't think anybody's really scared of the Jets with Zach Wilson. That doesn't mean that they can't do something against us, but I like our chances with the way the defense is playing going against their backup quarterback.
Yeah, and I think you said it last week when we were on Patty's channel. A major key to this team, if we're going to at least play competitive football or meaningful football down the stretch, we got to get a lot better in the red zone. That continues to be a struggle for us. Last week, I think we had 1 red zone touchdown, but we got to get a lot better in the red zone. We know that this offense isn't going to be electric week in and week out, especially when you play a good defense like the Jets. But you have to be able to take advantage when you get inside the 20. So if the Giants could get back to the way that they were last year, where they were really good in the red zone, we were 5th in the league. If we can even be league average in that department, because we haven't been close to that, with this defense that I think is going to really help assist this football team to stay in these games, I think we're going to have a good chance to win a lot of these games down the stretch. And it starts this week. I had a good feeling last week. I have a good feeling this week. I think Dexter Lawrence, I mean, he didn't have any of the sacks that some people were downplaying the way he was playing. He's been great all year. Finally, it was great to see him get some sacks last week. He's always a force in the middle. Kayvon Thibodeau, I understand some of the criticism for Thibodeau, if I'm being completely fair. When you watch the games, he's not necessarily like that dominant force that we've been hoping for, at least consistently enough. But
right,
the guy's
he's inconsistent.
Yeah, but the guy's producing. He's got 5.5 sacks. Say what
and he
you
had
want about that.
7 or 8 pressures alone against Washington.
Yeah, so is he Micah Parsons? No, but he's still a good football player, and he's certainly trending up. And the other guy you got to talk about in this defense that should excite every Giants fan is Deontay Banks.
Yeah,
Come
buddy.
on, man.
Banks closed on Sunday. Well, let's say some people in the chat. Monk Winner, what's up? Side Guy Bry, Mr. Papaguzzo. I shaved. Papaguzzo. I shaved. Yeah, get on your son. Get on his case. Afghanistan Parku Dapati or Depody, or however you would say that. Daniel Berry, the big moo. Phil, what's going on? Lizzie loves lovely Lou, Scotty, Tommy B, Jake Peterson, Connor Burke, Lou, Alex Liptak, Barbara Carroll, our lady, what is going on? Scotty Nelson, I got all these people. Sidon Smith, Jeremy Ortega, what is going on? Rudy Olguin, Benjamin Wynn, my good man, good to see you. Scott Young, Mike Rotundo, Ryan D, Luann, appreciate y'all being here. Brian Porras, appreciate you being here. You know what's funny? Being on Twitter now, I can put the face with some of these names, like Brian.
There you go.
Brian is on Twitter now because I've been really active on Twitter. Lou, thank you. Lou Mateo, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, I can't be the only one who wants to fight Brian. What the hell's his first name? The Tierney. Got the hell? Brandon Tierney.
Brandon Tierney, yeah.
Apologize to Ben. Should we tell these people now or should we make them wait?
Well, if you follow us on Twitter, you know already. I retweeted it. Baddog, of course, reached out to Carl, and Carl reached out to Baddog publicly, and Carl's going to be on the channel next week, Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Be there. We'll be there an hour earlier because listen, you make room for Carl Banks, Baddog. Normally we do the show Thursday or Friday.
Yes.
On our channels, we're not like WFAN or Jets fans that hang up the phone. Not only do we welcome you with open arms, not only are we going to shut up and let you say whatever you want to say, you're a Giants legend, we're going to move our show up 2 days earlier than we normally do it, and we're going to start an hour earlier.
That's right.
You make room. You have respect for a New York Giants legend with Carl Banks.
Correct. You don't hang up. You listen to the man. If anybody knows, he's going to know better than a couple of mamalukes like Sal and Brandon who never played. I'm going to listen to a guy that was an all-pro linebacker, Hall of Fame nominee, two-time Super Bowl champion. I'm going to listen to that guy. Whether I agree or don't agree, I'm going to listen to what he says because he's going to know more than me. But yes, I thought that was awesome. That made my day for sure. I told Chris, I was like half joking, I just put it out there. I said, I watched that back again. And I was like, I was appalled at how disrespectful they were, to him. And I tweeted him. I said, at Carl Banks, I said, you're more than welcome on our show anytime. And I promise we won't hang up on you. And maybe an hour later, a little bit, I noticed it was like, I had a lot of like impressions on that. And I noticed he retweeted, he said, let's make it happen. And then he DM'd me. I'm like, wow. So yes, Tuesday, we're going to move it up a little early. We're going to do it. I know it's Halloween, but we got Carl Banks on our
treat,
show.
8 o'clock Halloween. Come on over.
Yes,
Appreciate
that's going to be a treat. No tricks here. Carl Banks will be on the channel on Tuesday. How cool is that, Giants fans? It's pretty awesome. So I was amazed that was because of Kayvon Thibodeau. And Carl Banks, he made a really good point that if you're a fan, you don't want to just sit there and harp on everything negative that they do because every player's got some trait that they don't do well. And they have others that they do well. So why would you just constantly harp on the negative? Oh, he didn't get the pick six. Like he said, that would have made a great game better, but it didn't detract from the performance at all. It would have just enhanced his performance. So, I mean, he made a really good point with that. He made a lot of good points, and they just weren't hearing it because
people that are bad. And listen, yes, should he have caught it? Yeah, but you're bashing a pass rusher, and it wasn't like it was a straight spiral. That was a wobbly pass.
They got hit up in the air.
Scrimmage. He's not accustomed to catching balls like that. He should have made the play, but it's not something that you should be ridiculing him about. But I went back and I listened to what they had to say, that dynamic duo on WFAN, those two Jets fans. And I mean, the stupidest thing. What is he, a swimsuit model? They're talking about his body. Kayvon Thibodeau looks just fine to me. The guy's like 250 pounds. He's a beast. I don't understand. And does he have things? This year, to me, for Kayvon has kind of been the opposite of last year, where last year I thought the stats did not indicate how well he was playing because he was making impacts. This year, it's kind of been a mixed bag. The stats, I think, are showing that he's playing a little better than he actually is, but he's still playing well. And the last 2 or 3 weeks, he certainly started to turn it up.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand, like, all the other things that those guys could go after. You could go after Daniel Jones easily. The offensive line is always an easy target. The offensive play calling, the special teams play, we can't field a punt. And you attack the guy that's like 9th in the league in sacks?
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me. None.
Yeah, pick a different target. I didn't understand either. And yeah, the body thing was just strange. What do you mean he has his body isn't good? What do you? Well, like I think Carl, I think that's what made him mad. Carlos was like, it's weird.
Yeah.
It is. Who cares what they're built like? I don't care. Like people are like, oh, okay, when when people are talking about Caleb Williams, I don't want Caleb Williams because he paints his nails. I don't care if he paints his nails, paints his toes, paints his face. Win.
Yeah.
I don't care what these guys do. That doesn't affect me. I just want them to win football games. I just want them to perform. Like I remember Odell Beckham had all these weird things that he did. And I'm like, dude, I don't care if he goes out there in a tutu and slippers. If he's catching freaking touchdowns, I'm happy with him. I don't care what he does in his everyday life. That doesn't matter.
Nor should you.
Matters to me on Sunday at 1:00 till about 4:30. That's when it matters.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing something illegal, I don't care what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't care what they're doing. But I was definitely that made my day. That was pretty awesome. I noticed that. I noticed he followed me back. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So pretty pumped up about that. Don't worry, I'll tweet it out. We'll let you know.
I'm not active on Twitter, but that day we'll
I saw they were like, are you back? Like, nope. I said Baddog. I retweeted it. Baddog reached out. Carl reached out to Baddog. Baddog told me, and I'm ready to go. But that definitely.
For that, I'm going to show Carl some respect. Carl was nice enough to come on my channel about 4 or 5 months ago. He's a really nice guy, and I even said to Baddog privately in text before this, like 3 or 4 days ago. I'm like, it's ridiculous. Those clowns, what they said about Carl Banks. It's a joke. So, I'm glad to get to talk to him, and maybe he gets to vent a little bit about the guys. He probably won't because he probably still has to go on their show, but it'll be fun to talk about nevertheless.
It'll be fun to talk about anything with him, because one thing I definitely would like to talk about is Daniel Jones. As we know, he hasn't had a good year and he's dealing with a neck injury. And now, on Twitter, there's definitely these trolls, the fake doctors, and he's out for the year. And you got Wesley Steinberg, who's he's a fake account, and people buy into this. Jordan Rananuts or whatever his name is, Rananuts. And so there's a lot of those. But this is coming out in the Daily News and ESPN. Like a lot of places are saying that there's no guarantee he's coming back this year. So that's something I would really like to talk about, because what is the status? They don't tell us anything. They didn't tell us anything the last time we had a neck issue that kept him out for the rest of the year. Just kept saying his neck's bothering him. Yeah. So I don't know if this is a year thing. I don't know if this is a career thing.
It's definitely concerning. And Renan came out. I think it was Renan. It was Duggan, actually. I saw it today on Twitter. He basically came out and said that Dable changed his tune dramatically on Daniel Jones when asked about the injury and when he's going to come back. And he basically said he doesn't know, where a couple of weeks ago he said he thinks for sure he's coming back and playing. So you have to think that there's been some kind of alteration in the doctor report where they're at least skeptical of, when he's going to be 100% ready to go and play football. So obviously the neck's not something you mess with, especially being that he's had a history with that in the past. So, regardless of how you feel about Daniel Jones as a player, as the person, you hope he's able to recover and play football again, because necks are serious injuries, and it's the second time this has happened.
Yeah, you don't mess with the neck. As I've said, it's not a calf, it's not a groin, it's not a hammy. Like Andrew Thomas is out again. I don't know how. Did they ever come out and say what's wrong with his hamstring? I mean, they could say, "Hey, it's a grade 3 strain," and that's serious, and that's weeks. Partially torn hamstring. Like, do we know exactly what's wrong with it? I mean, he's been out since week 1, and we heard, that, he may be ready for San Francisco. And here we are going into week 8 now. And this is week 2. This is 6 weeks, Chris, that he's been out with the hamstring. And when he practiced and I listened to what he was saying, I'm like, this doesn't sound like a guy that's confident. This reminds me of when Patty told us a couple of weeks ago, he was walking by her and she's like asking how he's doing. He's like, I'm okay. But you could tell he couldn't really walk. And I kind of got that sense when he was like, I'm out there practicing, but I kind of got the sense like he wasn't confident that he was coming back anytime soon. John Michael Schmitz, on the other hand, that seems like we have a chance that he plays.
Which is encouraging, because we definitely need him to start progressing as a player. So that's good to hear that he's coming back this week.
You mentioned, something about being in the red zone. Last week, Darren Waller had his best game as a Giant, 7 catches, 98 yards. And you and I have talked about this all year. Extend the field, throw the ball deep, get Jalen Hyatt involved. We've seen Jalen Hyatt now have 4 deep plays in the last 2 weeks. We've seen Darren Waller have really good games. Why? Because that opens it up for Darren Waller. It opens it up for Saquon Barkley. You start stretching the field. You get the defense worried about getting beat over the top. That's going to open up the middle of the field. That's going to open it up for Wandale. That's going to open up the running game for Saquon when they have to play off, or it could open up things underneath for Jalen Hyatt if they run a quick hitch or something. So I just like the way, I'm not going to sit here and get in the argument about Tyrod Taylor is better than Daniel Jones or vice versa. What I'm going to say is Tyrod Taylor is different than Daniel Jones. And I want your opinion on this, Chris, because this is something, again, being on Twitter and just reading a lot of comments and stuff. You know, people are like, oh, the play calling is different. The play calling is different. I want to say, how do you know? Like, how do you know the play calling it's probably is different, but is it that much different? Like, how many plays are they go, oh, if Tyrod plays, we have all this playbook. If Daniel plays, we have that playbook. How much do you think it is play calling, and how much do you think it is just Tyrod Taylor's making different decisions with the football?
I don't think it's the play calling. It's the same play caller. I don't think it's the play calling. I think the play calling is the same. I think Tyrod Taylor is coming in and he's playing like he has nothing to lose. Because he doesn't. I mean, he's a 34-year-old backup. He's going out there and he said, be damned. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take my shots, regardless of the situation. People have said the offensive line has gotten better, maybe a little bit, but the offensive line still is not good. And, credit to Taylor. He's played really well. Listen, I'm never going to be a guy that has an agenda. I wanted to bring back Daniel Jones. I thought it was the right decision to bring back Daniel Jones. I still think it was based off the circumstance we were in. But, hey, at the end of the day, Tyrod Taylor, and I understand Barkley's been back. Barkley played with Jones the first, 2 games or so, whatever it was. But he's been back. That certainly has had an effect. And the offense still is far from great. We've scored, 23 points in the last 2 weeks. That's 12 and a half points, or whatever it is, 11 and a half points a game. It's nothing. So the offense still is far from great. But just the eye test, the offense looks better. It's more dynamic. I think we had 5 or 6 20-yard plays last week. And Taylor deserves credit for that.
The first half, we had that.
First half, whatever it was. And all I can hope as a Giants fan, if Daniel Jones, and I think he will be, if he's cleared for contact, and he will be the starter again this year if he is capable of coming back. All I can hope as a Giants fan is he looks at this and he says, okay, this is a wake-up call. I need to start stretching the field. And I understand that the offense is limited, especially without Barkley and Thomas, and the offensive line is garbage, but it hurts that argument if you're a Daniel Jones supporter and you see Tyrod Taylor going out there and being able to make some plays. The offense still doesn't look great, but we're making some plays. And yes, of course, the defense is really assisting as well. Yep. Their 2 best games have been the last 2 weeks. That certainly helps everything too. So I don't want to make this all about Daniel Jones and Taylor. I think there's other variables, but Taylor certainly played much better than I thought he would, especially last week. I mean, the guy had 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. The one I get for Barkley was, whatever it was, but the throw to Waller was a great throw. So I give Taylor his props, man. He's playing well. He's playing the way that I think we were all hoping as Giants fans when we signed him. If he had to step in and play, we said to ourselves, okay, we have an experienced backup, a guy that could play serviceable quarterback play, and that's what we've got in the last 2 weeks. So I'm encouraged by it. To me, though, it's not a Taylor versus Jones thing, Baddog. It's a Jones versus draft pick thing. That's the argument for me. The fact that Taylor and Jones is a discussion, though, obviously hurts the strength of the argument for Daniel Jones. And,
of course,
that's where we are right now. But if Jones is ready to play, he's going to play. But now he's going to have a lot more pressure if he's inserted back into that starting lineup.
Absolutely. So if he thought he had a lot of pressure living up to the contract, you go in there and you can't outdo your backup with that contract, then obviously that's a big red flag. But the one thing I'll say about Tyrod Taylor, you mentioned the offense, we've scored only 23 points. And I'm not making excuses. You got to punch the ball in the end zone. But against Buffalo, we had the ball at the 1-yard line 3 times. Now, obviously, he audibled the run. He shouldn't have done that. Okay, that was a dumb mistake. We had 3 opportunities to get it, probably 2 with 8 seconds or 14 seconds. No, you probably had 3. You probably had 3 passes at the end zone. I'm going to be honest. I think if they pass, I think one of them gets in there. If nothing else, they kick a field goal at the very least.
No, I agree. We would have had 17 at least.
You had that. At the end of the game, that's the play you could have ran, Barkley, because it was 1 on time down. You call your best play. We know Darren Waller got interfered with. And again, I'm not going to blame the officials. The Giants didn't get it done, but we know we should have had another play from the end zone. Okay. He was obviously pulled down, interfered with. If he's not, he probably catches it. It's a touchdown. Last week, Tyrod Taylor kills it, 279, 2 touchdowns, no interception. Oh, the Giants only scored 14 points. Well, Graham Gano missed a field goal. That rarely happens. Okay. 17-0 there. And then Barkley fumbled on the 7-yard line.
So that's at least 20.
It would have been first and goal from the 7, and he fumbled.
At least 20, if not 24. Yeah.
Correct. So, yes, I get that we're not scoring, but we're moving the football. This is the first time all year we've had 2 consecutive games where you've had over 300 yards of total offense. Okay.
Yeah.
The
It's
one
the
thing I
eye
like
test
about
for me. It's not, it's the eye test. It's not about the offenses look better the last 2 weeks with Taylor quarterback. Nobody could deny it. There's other factors. Barkley
right.
being back certainly helps, and the
Yeah.
defense playing as well as they have certainly helps. So I don't want to ignore that fact. But Taylor's played better than Jones outside of the Cardinals game. You have to be fair. He's played better than Jones.
Yeah, and nothing else. It's just more balanced. And I
Yeah.
think Tyrod Taylor is more decisive. I think Tyrod Taylor gets rid of the ball quicker. I think he processes quicker. Because look, I brought up a stat on Twitter talking about the pressures. Okay. And they're very similar. If Tyrod Taylor is throwing about half the amount of passes as Daniel Jones, and he's been sacked, I think, 20 times less. So that wasn't quite half. Pressures are a little bit more than half. I think Jones is pressured I forgot how many it was. 40 times. Tyrod Taylor might have been pressured 28 times. The hits were like 12 to Jones, 6 to Tyrod Taylor. But the one thing I noticed was Daniel Jones' time in the pocket was 2.3 seconds. I don't know if this is when they throw it or how much time I think it's how much time they have before the pressure. He has 2.3. Tyrod Taylor has 2.1. Somebody says to me, he goes, "Oh, that sounds like a made up stats. That sounds like BS." Because I watch games. I'm like, I got it from Pro Football Reference. You can go right there. You can go to advanced pass. You can look at pressures, and it'll show you those stats that I read off. So it's not like Tyrod Taylor has extra time. There's been plays where he does have extra time, but on average, Tyrod Taylor's not sitting back there all day like Jalen Hurts.
Tyrod Taylor got sacked 5 times last game. I think. Like it's not like he's not getting hit. He's getting hit. He's doing a better job than Jones did. The offensive line is still not good. And I gotta hope if Jones is inserted into the lineup, he plays better. Because let's be real, you're hoping with Taylor. If Taylor remains a quarterback, we're drafting a quarterback.
Correct.
Like, he's not part of the future at all. I mean, yeah, of course, I hope Jones comes back and he plays the way that we were all hoping before the year started. But if he doesn't, the writing's on the wall, bad dog. If this team continues to play bad, it just is.
Yep, agree. Let me get to a few of these super chats. Jamar Wright, my man, thank you so much for becoming a member of the Dog Pound. Where my members at? Dog Pound members, welcome our guy Jamar under the kennel, baby. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Brian, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Difficult day to get through today. Let's go win. Hopefully everything gets better. Yes. Let's get a win. Let's get a win, Brian.
And yeah,
yep.
Usually
like
if we could get a win this week, bad dog, you start to be like, okay, well, we could get to 4-5. You could beat the Raiders. So, then you start to get a little bit of excitement at least.
Now, listen, I also put it on Twitter that maybe I am crazy, but you look at 6 of the next 7 games. It's the Packers, it's the Saints, it's the Ravens, not the Ravens, the Raiders. What was it? We got the Jets, the Raiders, Cowboys. Then we got who the hell is the other team? There's Green Bay.
We got the Packers, the Patriots.
The Patriots was the other one.
Right, Washington. Again.
Washington. We beat Washington. We can beat the Patriots. All those teams who are in our league, they're in our weight class outside of Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a possibility if the Giants get on a roll and this defense keeps playing better and better, at least the same, where they keep making an impact and our offense can find the end zone a couple of times. We could be 8-6. I mean, legitimately. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but these teams are teams that we got the really hard part of our schedule out. We're not playing. The Green Bay is a primetime game, but then that's it. There's no primetime games. Of course, you finished 2 of the last 3 weeks with Philadelphia. That ain't going to be good, but maybe by last week, Philadelphia's not playing that. I'm just saying there's reason to be, especially if they beat the Jets, there's reason to be optimistic. If they don't beat the Jets, Chris, I'm pretty sure we're going to start selling some pieces off here.
Yeah, I for me to think that there's at least a chance, a glimmer of hope at the playoffs, I think they got to win the next 2. If you get to 4-5, then I could at least convince myself, okay, we got a real chance here to get to at least 6-6. And if you get to 6-6, let's see what happens. Because obviously you got the Cowboys after that. So say that's a loss, you're 4-6, but then you got the Patriots, Washington, and Green Bay. So if you win those 3, you're 7-6.
New Orleans.
So there's at least a glimmer of hope if they can win the next 2 games. These next 2 games are must wins.
Without question. Edwin, my man, thank you for the super stick. A little fist bump. Appreciate that, my man. Thank you so much. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Says, why we want to win games? Because we're fans. Why do you want to root to lose?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I understand, Chris, your perspective. I'm not going to knock you. You think that getting a higher draft pick is going to help the football team. I can't do that. Life is too short. For me, I've seen this team pick top 10, 4 out of the last 5 years, whatever it's been. We've had 3 top 5 picks in the last 5 years. What has it gotten us? So for me, we're not getting the first pick. So get out of your head. So we're not going to get the quarterback of your dreams that you want. Our schedule's too light to end the year. We're not going to be picking first. So maybe we'll pick at 6th, 7th. Who knows? We'll see at the end of the year. But I'm going to worry about the draft after the season. Right now, it's week 8. The NFL things could shift so quickly. Last year, Baddog, we saw it. We started 6-1 or 5-1, whatever it was, and it was the complete opposite the second half of the year.
We had the Lions, where they started out and the way they finished.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe it could be a reverse season this year to last year. So I'll worry about the draft as the season comes to an end. Right now, I'm worried about the New York Jets.
And here we go, Chris. You make a good point. The Giants have drafted top 5, top 6. How many times in the last 3-4 years? Top 10. How many times have you drafted top 10 since 2018? How many? A lot, right?
Every year except for one, I think.
And like I said, where's it gotten us? And
the last 2 we picked 11th, and
we traded back
5th. Yeah.
Well, here's my point. Where do we pick this year?
We picked 25th.
How's that rookie looking?
He looks like the second best rookie we've drafted in the last 6 years. Well, no, Dexter Lawrence, third best, I'll say. Dexter Lawrence.
But it just goes to show.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get a quarterback, but you can get a very high impact player someplace. Deontay Banks has been a godsend, and he's a rookie. So the fact that Deontay Banks is getting comfortable in his role is going to help Wink Martindale. That's why this defense is starting to come on. Because Wink now knows I can leave that guy out there one-on-one, and I ain't worried about him playing man. I ain't worried about him. And he's played some of the best receivers in the league, and he shut him down.
I said third best, authentic. I said third best because Andrew Thomas goes without saying. Dexter Lawrence is 2 for me, and you could say Barkley, but Barkley's on the way out for me. So I'm not thinking about him. I'm thinking about long-term. He's the third cornerstone piece of this team that we've drafted in recent memory. So I'm excited about Deontay Banks. He's been fantastic.
But I mean, again, Chris, he says not going to the playoffs. Why we want to win the next 3 or 4 games? You never know. I mean, if you get to 8 wins, the Giants are 2-5 right now. I think they're a game out of the wild card. Like the NFC is not great, and 7 teams. There's 3 wild card teams. There's no reason to think that they can't. I mean, the Cowboys are really good, but then the Lions are really. But the Lions are going to win the division. So take the division winners out of it, and who's Seattle? Nobody in the South, Dallas, like I said, Dallas, Seattle. Okay. Who's that third wildcard team? Is it Minnesota? It's not Chicago. It's not Green Bay. Is it the Rams?
It's probably trending towards Minnesota because they're starting to play better. If I had to pick a team right now, but if you can win 8 games, you got a chance. If you can win 9 games, you're going to get in probably. Yeah. The NFC is not very good.
But again, I'm never going to tell you how to fan. If you want to lose games, like Chris said, I completely understand your train of thought. I can't do it. Like I said, if we got into the last week of the season and knowing we lost, we secured a number 1 pick, I'd say, go ahead, tank it. Do it. Yeah. Take the number 1 pick, tank. Don't win this game. That's the one time I think you'd say, I want to lose. But I can't. Even when I get to a point where I don't care if they win or lose.
Yeah.
But it's too.
But I'm not at that point week 8. I'm not at that point week 8.
Right.
When especially when you look at our schedule, you look at the way the defense has played as of late. Let's see what the team can do these next couple of weeks. Especially
when we're playing normal time, no more primetime games, and the schedule does lighten up a little bit. Like I said, these teams are in our weight class. I don't look at anybody coming up outside of Dallas and go, wow, they're way better than we are. I don't think the Patriots are better than us. I don't think the Packers are better than us. I don't think the Raiders are better than us. I don't think the Jets are better than us with Zach Wilson. So I don't know if the Saints are better than us. I mean, I know we're not good, but neither are any of those teams. Just wait and see. This team to me seems like it's trending in a better direction. I just sit there and kick myself. I don't kick myself in the ass. I just think about it. If they could have found a way to beat Buffalo, they'd be 3-4 right now. And what would that mean? Going into this,
we'd be a lot more jacked up for sure. Yeah.
The big moo. Thank you so much. He says, "Congrats on getting Carl Banks." Thank you, man. That was awesome. Like I said, that made my day.
Yeah.
That's huge, guys. Hard work does pay off, and it's great to get the recognition. Guys will be awesome. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to get the recognition without all you guys and girls. Without you guys and girls, Chris and I don't have this show. We don't have the following we do. We don't get the notoriety we do. But it is really awesome to see that. Again, this is not some
This is one of the top. This is one of the top 6, 7, 8 Giants of all time.
Right. Yeah.
It's incredible. I remember the one time I had him on my channel. I swear, because obviously because when you're not showing your face, you could see who's backstage. So I wasn't showing my face yet. He popped in, and I just paused for about 30 seconds. I'm like, "That's Carl Banks." So it's just incredible to be able to get a legend like that to come on and talk Giants football with us. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm sure it's going to be a fun stream, especially after what happened this week.
Without question. I didn't even see his face. Just when I looked at my DM and it was in there, I'm like, that's Carl Banks. Like, that is a guy I grew up watching. That's a guy that won 2 Super Bowls. That's a guy in the Ring of Honor. That's one of the voices of the Giants. I'm just like, that is awesome. That is really cool. And that's going to be really cool streams. Tell everybody you know. You got to start following Chris and the Baddog. Where you been for the last 6 years? You've been doing this show for 6 years. Our team has been ass, and we're here every week. But maybe things change now. Maybe things are starting to brighten up. Nico, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, think we forgot his age too. Kayvon Thibodeau is 22 and still has boy strength. Wait till he get that man strength and develops. Nico, I like Kayvon. I like that Chris had mentioned earlier. And my only knock on him is I feel like he's inconsistent, right? I feel like he does have games where he's really good, and there's games where you don't even know he's out there. I think he just has to become more consistent. But Carl Banks nailed it. He's a rising star. He's not a superstar, but every week you can see him getting better. And he does a lot of things that don't show up in the box score, which is another thing Carl mentioned on that terrible show on WFN, was that when they asked Micah Parsons to do Kayvon Thibodeau things, there was no box score. Nothing. There's nothing in the box score. And then, I forgot which one I was screaming out. Why isn't he Micah Parsons? Because he's not Micah Parsons. How many guys are Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be Micah Parsons. I put it right on Twitter today. It was about me. He can't be Micah Parsons. I can't be the biggest guy. I can't be the strongest guy. I can't be the richest guy, the most successful guy, the smartest guy. I can't be that, okay? I can be the best version of me. Kayvon Thibodeau does not need to be Micah Parsons. Kayvon Thibodeau needs to be the best version of Kayvon Thibodeau. That's one thing that the NFL does bad, in my opinion. They compare too many players, and that's not right. Comparison's the thief of joy. If you constantly compare Kayvon Thibodeau to Micah Parsons, of course you're going to go, oh, he ain't any good. But he doesn't need to be Micah Parsons. That's like comparing Daniel Jones to Pat Mahomes. That ain't going to make you why can't he do it, Pat Mahomes? Because he's not Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, I listen, I think as fans, you also got to realize, like you said, he's young. Like, he shouldn't be a complete player yet. I understand he was a top 5 pick, so you expect immediate contribution, and he's given you that to some extent, but you can't win. People last year, when Kayvon clearly showed that he was capable of being a dominant player, which he showed in at least 3 or 4 different games last year, whether it be the second Cowboys game, the Washington game, the Colts game. He had 3 or 4 games last year where he showed he could be a dominant player. And the stats didn't necessarily give enough credit to the way that he played, because he only had like 4 sacks last year. So people didn't acknowledge that. They pointed to the lack of sacks. This year, when he's getting the sacks, those same people are saying he's not giving that, he's not doing the other things. You can't win. You're always going to have haters. You're always going to have people that look to nitpick when they have an agenda against a player. And every player has those people. Kayvon's a big name. He's got a big personality.
Yep. Facts. Absolute facts. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, is it fair to say it's hard to trust Jones going forward from health standpoint? Yeah, because we don't know. And somebody mentioned earlier, Chris, David Wilson had to retire because of a neck injury.
Yeah, listen, it's a neck injury is no joke, Chris. He's now missed time. We're not talking about one game. We're talking about multiple games every year of his career outside of last year. So, yeah, that has to be talked about. Yes, health is important in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position.
Without question. So it is concerning. Again, if it was a hamstring even if it's a ACL tear, I mean, they recover from that. They may never be the same physically, but they recover. They come back from it.
Yeah.
You can get surgery on an ACL. You can live a perfectly normal, healthy life. People that are everyday human beings tear ACLs and get them repaired. And you can walk, you can do all the things. You can live a life, but you mess your neck up.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean,
that's
listen, I know, and we're big baseball fans. Don Mattingly had to retire when he was, 32, 33 because of spinal stenosis.
Yeah.
Same thing with David Wright. Like, you have injuries to that part of your, like, and especially in football, the hits that you take, I mean, that's nothing to laugh at. And this has been now a reoccurring thing. So, as much as I want to see Daniel Jones succeed, we'll see. Obviously, they're not telling us everything. I think that's pretty clear, but because they probably don't know. So
that's what's concerning because I think I also read that out. I'm like, do we know? Like, because I said, what are they looking for? Yeah. I understand they don't want to tell us, but like, I wish what are they looking for in his neck to say, okay, he's cleared for contact?
Yeah.
Like, what are they waiting for? What are they waiting to see? Like, are they testing him? Are they moving his neck around to give him the thing? Like, I don't know. And that's what's frustrating is I don't know what the deal is. It's just his neck. It's not good. Big moo. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you. He says, do you think Eli told DJ to call Peyton about the neck?
Probably. I mean, Peyton dealt with a severe neck injury. Probably. But this is the second go around now for Jones, so he probably did it last time.
Yeah, probably. Side Guy Bry, thank you for being a member for 20 months. He says DJ shut down post bye. More setbacks, and so will AT.
Yeah, well, the AT thing's concerning too.
Yeah, because that's a big hamstring. I'll say that. It's a big man. But again, the neck and the hamstring are two.
Oh no! I'm not saying career debility.
Yeah, no, I know. That's yeah.
But
Andrew Thomas, I don't think he's close.
It doesn't seem that way. I mean, we haven't gotten any encouraging news every week. It doesn't seem like he's any closer. So hopefully once we get to the bye, he's ready to come back in and play. But that's certainly been an injury that has been really discouraging because you thought he'd be back in a few weeks, and we're now going on 6 weeks or so. So
yeah, I thought he'd be back about the same time Barkley came back. Honestly,
yeah.
I wish he did. It'd be really nice to have Andrew Thomas out there with Justin Pugh and JMS and Evan Neal and whoever else you want to put out there, Glowinski. Listen, we got to give credit to Glowinski. Played really, really well.
He did. The Lions played better. I think that's the right way to put it.
I don't think they could go the other way.
Glowinski's played pretty well though last week. I'll give him credit.
He did. Edwin, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, "Let's go Giants." You guys do great work.
Appreciate that, Edwin. Thanks for popping in, man.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you. We appreciate that very much. Connor, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Screw taking a quarterback, Arch Manning in 2026." I want to see Arch Manning throw a football before we.
Yeah, he hasn't even played yet, Connor. He hasn't even played yet.
He hasn't played.
I know he's a highly sought after prospect, but let's see the kid play and let's see where we're at as an organization. I don't know. All depends on where we're picking. Everybody's whispering quarterbacks, right? I don't know where we're picking. Let's find out where we're picking at the end of the year before we start talking about that.
I definitely don't know where we're picking in 2026.
Yeah, well, that too. Hopefully we're not drafting Arch Manning because that would mean if he's as good as people think he's going to be, well, then we're going to have to be picking top 3 or 4. I don't want to be picking top 3 or 4 in 2026. I'm hoping we have our head on straight by then.
Yeah. Billy, thank you for the super sticker. I'm pretty sure that just said yum. Appreciate it, Billy. Thank you. Brian Hugo Lovato, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate the super chat, bro. He says, "You guys are awesome. I told my wife if the Giants make the playoffs this season, we are going to that first game." Well, it'd probably be a road game, I would think, but that would be awesome. Absolutely. I hope you get to go to that game, buddy. I do. I don't care if they're not going to win a Super Bowl. I want the playoffs. I had a lot of fun last year. Chris and I had a ball. We were talking about winning football. It was a change for us, but I would like to get back to it because it feels a lot better than losing.
Yeah, and appreciate the kind words, Brian, man. Thanks for popping in. Thank you for always showing the support you always show, and hopefully you get to go to a playoff game this year. That'd be nice.
That would be nice. Hopefully the Giants hopefully the Giants get to go to one. That'd be great. That'd be great. Will, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, "I don't get the thought process of tanking it creates bad morale. It doesn't really inspire you to be a top destination like who wants to lose. And that's
I get it, Will.
the other side of the coin.
Yeah, I'd be lying to you, Will, if I said I didn't get it. I understand why fans feel the way they do. They look at Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals. They look at Trevor Lawrence with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars now are 5-2. They're contending for a potential Super Bowl this year. I mean, they're probably not, but they're one of the top 3 or 4 teams probably in the AFC. They look at that and they say, well, if we lose all of our games, we get the first pick, and Caleb Williams is supposed to be the second coming, we could flip this team real fast. But it doesn't work that way because the Giants are not going to go out there and try to lose. Jobs are on the line. Coaches' jobs are on the line. General manager jobs on the line. They're trying to sell tickets. The players are trying to play for the next team they're going to be with. Half these players won't be Giants next year. So that's not the way it works. They're not going to tank. It's silly. I understand that maybe fans are rooting for them to lose so they get that first pick, but their schedule is too soft, and the Giants aren't bad enough to finish with the first pick. It's not going to happen. So
yeah. Carolina's really bad.
Yeah.
Denver is really bad. Chicago's, listen, we're there with those teams record-wise. Arizona's really bad. But again, we got a long ways to go. You know, we're 2-5. We still have 10 games to play. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I think this week tells a lot. This really wouldn't be tanking. I guess this is what people say is a tank. You're 2-6 to trade deadline. You move Barkley, you move Leo, you move Adoree, you bring in all the people, you know, the younger people, and you say, screw it, we're just going to ride it out with Matt Breida and Jordan Riley, or, you know, Ashawn Robinson next to Dexter Lawrence, and we're going to put Cordell Flott out there with Trey Hawkins.
That's not tanking to me, though. That's not
tanking. No, I know, but I think that's people's mindset is, okay, we're selling off our best players and putting the backups in there.
That to me is realizing where you're at as an organization, realizing if you do trade Barkley, he's not a part of the future of this team, getting what you can while you can get it, and developing. I think developing is the better word. You're in a position to develop your younger players, but they're not going to go out there and try to lose the games. They're still going to put forth the best game plan. Those players are still going to put forth the best effort. We're not going to tank. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. If we really wanted to tank, we would go out, we would get Mike Glennon and we bring back Joe. Like running back-to-back quarterback sneaks, that might be the closest thing to tanking I've ever seen in my life.
That was bad.
That was a tank.
If it wasn't.
Guess what? Guess what that did? It cost Joe Judge's job.
Yeah, it did.
Right.
That and the press conference a couple weeks before that.
I'll take some credit for that one still. Billy, thank you for the super chat. He says, Chris, admit Daniel Jones sucks.
This year he has sucked. I'm not going to change my opinion on the contract. I thought they should have signed him. You want to argue tag, that's fine. And obviously hindsight 2020, seeing the way he's played this year, I get it. I don't need to continue to state why I feel the way that I do. I've said it a million times. I think it makes sense. You may not agree with it. I make points that I think make sense. Maybe you disagree with that. That's fine. But I'm not going to change my opinion. I think it was the right decision to bring him back. And the way in which they did it was a smart decision. It allows them to pivot if something drastic like this were to happen. And apparently it's trending that way, especially with the neck injury. So he's been horrible this year, Billy. I thought he was going to get better. I think most of us did. Second year in the offense with Dable and Kafka, the way that they looked in the second half, it didn't happen. It is what it is.
They added pieces, Chris. They added Jalen Hines. They added Darren Waller. They drafted
people that were right. Congratulations, I guess. Like, you shouldn't be happy, but congratulations. Yeah, so it is what it is. But I thought he'd be better this year. He hasn't been. He's gotten worse. It sucks.
Yeah. Listen, people are like, they should have franchise tagged him. But then you wouldn't have Bobby Okereke. You wouldn't have Saquon Barkley. You can't tag two players. They weren't signing Barkley. Barkley would not have been here, and they would have got nothing. They would have got a compensatory pick for him in 2025. That's what would have happened. And they would not have had Bobby Okereke because they had to do that. You can't maneuver Daniel Jones's contract around. His cap hit is what, $17 million this year? Or something like that, right? 18 million.
No, it was a little bit more after they but around 20. It was around 20.
Okay, so they probably saved $12 million by doing what they did. And this is Chris and I talking about this all offseason. You give him a Derek Carr-like contract where you can pivot in case he's bad and you can get out of it. And then they can take their guy. But it also allowed, if he did increase and get better and progress every year and got better and better, and we got better and better, then you're like, okay, we got this guy in a bargain the last 2 years of his career. Or I'm sorry, last 2 years of his contract. So I feel like they did it correctly. It would have been hard to sell a fan base. I know there's people that don't like Jones, but to me, you just want to play a game. You accelerated the process, and you're going to go, well, you know what? Enough of that. We're going to go back. We're just going to sign Marcus Mariota for a year. What are you going to do with Marcus Mariota?
That was never a realistic option. People
Right,
could
Chris,
say
because
now
what would the direction of the team be?
people could say now in hindsight that's what they should have done. But listen,
Hindsight, 2020.
everybody that feels that way is entitled to whatever they feel. But
Of course.
if you go out and you win a playoff game for the first time in 12 years, and Jones played good, no matter how you want to state it, was there a lot of big plays? No, but he played well considering the team that was around him. He had the lowest interception percentage in football. A team that not many expected to make the playoffs made the playoffs. A team that no one expected to win a playoff game before the year started won a playoff game. He had a ton to do with that win in that playoff game. He played very well in that game, and you were picking 25th. You weren't going to bring back Tyrod Taylor to be the starter off of that. You weren't doing that. You weren't going to, at least I feel that way. You weren't going to sign Marcus Mariota. The Giants did the reasonable thing, in my opinion. They signed a deal where they could maneuver out of after 2 years if things go south. I think the plan, as I've stated many times originally, was to sign Barkley and to tag Jones.
Yes, that's why they tried signing Barkley earlier in the year.
Yeah, or at least to use the tag as leverage for Jones. Once they couldn't sign Barkley, they had no leverage. Jones and his camp had all the leverage because they knew it just makes sense. $10 million to tag a running back, $32 million to tag a quarterback. What's an easier way to build a team? So once that transpired, because if they would have signed Barkley, they probably could only put 2 or 3, 4 against the cap this year. And then they could have said, okay, we could take on that $32 million hit. Now we got to pay Barkley 11 or whatever the tag was for running back. So it's a lot harder. So him and his camp knew they had a lot more leverage. But I think Shane's plan, what he was hoping for, was to sign Barkley to a 2 or 3 year deal, maybe 18 guaranteed. Barkley and his camp didn't like it. Things went south. It is what it is. Plans don't always go according to plan. Things don't work out perfectly. Given that situation, I understand why Shane did what he did. Things don't always work out, but I don't think it's a catastrophic decision that's going to set this franchise back. At the end of the day, if you want to argue Baker Mayfield or whoever, was this team going to make the playoffs with them at quarterback?
Right.
Because we're only talking about this season, because we're already talking about drafting a quarterback next year, and then you want to bring up cap space for next year. Doesn't matter what your cap space is when you're starting a rookie quarterback. Are you really going to compete for a Super Bowl? Let's be honest. So for me, it is what it is. I understood why they did what they did. I don't think it's going to set the franchise back years. Had they given him a deal like Joe Burrow got, of course. But this wasn't a franchise quarterback contract. This was a contract that said, we believe that you have the potential to be a franchise quarterback. And listen, you got hurt again, Daniel. You weren't playing well before you got hurt. You're not trending towards being that franchise quarterback. It gave them the option to be able to pivot.
Yeah, the other thing people say is, in hindsight, you should have just given them the 5th-year option. Well, I mean, they weren't going to give him a 5th-year option. Number one, this was a whole new regime. They were not married to Daniel Jones. They did not draft Daniel Jones. But you also have to remember the people that said they should have 5th-year option him. He had this neck issue going into the summer. So why would you have given him an extra $23 million if this had happened coming off a neck injury where you're like, oh, God, well, what if he misses time now? He's guaranteed a 5th year. What the hell are we going to do with that? So there was a lot of question marks surrounding it, and he came off a horrible year in 2021, a terrible season in which he hurt his neck, and the Giants were a really bad team. It's hard for a GM to come in and go, you know what, I'm in love with that guy. We finished 4-13. He's got a neck injury. You know what, let's throw an extra $23 million to this guy. We've never seen him play in person. Well, we've never coached him. We don't know what he's like with the coach. We don't know what he's like in our system. We have all these question marks about him. How good is he really? Can he fit in the system? How's his neck? Let's give him another year. That wouldn't have made any sense either. So they made him earn it. And then they did the only logical thing I think they could do. And like Chris mentioned, you can throw this year away, right? This year is kind of a throwaway year. People already want the quarterback for next year. So Daniel Jones will be here next year, but then that's it.
Them signing Jones didn't take away the ability for them to draft a quarterback if things went haywire, which is really the most important thing. If you're somebody that didn't want to keep Jones, they still could pivot after 1 year. Yeah, he'll be on the team, but it still gives you the ability to draft a quarterback. It's not like they committed to him the way that the Eagles did with Hurts, the way that the
Cowboys
Bengals did with
Burrow,
the Cowboys did with Dak initially. They didn't do that. So we'll see what happens at the end of the year. But it is what it is. Things didn't go according to plan. The thing that worries me a lot more than the Daniel Jones contract is the development of Evan Neal. That's what worries me a lot more, Baddog, because I went into the year saying, okay, if things don't work out with Jones, whether it be we move on after this year, the year after that, the year after that, at least this is giving them another year to grow that offensive line. However Daniel Jones plays, then if you have to draft the quarterback, that quarterback's coming into a much better situation. Now you got the bookend tackles. The fact that Evan Neal has not only not gotten better, he's arguably gotten worse.
Yeah.
That
That's
to me is a lot more
concerning.
concerning for the long-term prospects of the Giants than the Daniel Jones contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion. Because you can move off Daniel Jones.
Understandable. Frank Nunnia, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, my man. Says completely agree. Let Kayvon Thibodeau be Thibodeau. Also, he's coming on strong. He's played really well the past 3 or 4 games. Exactly. And again, Frank, I think that's the biggest problem is people just compare their players like the best players. And, oh, Micah Parsons was picked, 12th. And, Kayvon Thibodeau was picked 5th, so he needs to be better. Well, that's not always the way it works. There's a reason players fall in the draft. Now, Micah Parsons had that whole thing about the hazing incidents and all this other stuff at Penn State, it hurt his draft capital. Listen, Trayvon Walker, a lot of people like Kayvon Thibodeau going number 1 overall because Trayvon Walker won the underwear Olympics. He got picked for it, and all Kayvon did was won the 50 or the 40, and he didn't play. And it was like, oh, he's lazy. He don't want to play. And he fell to the Giants because of that. I think he's going to be fine. I think Carl Banks nailed it perfectly when he said he's a rising star. He ain't a superstar. He's a rising star. Let him get there. It's his 2nd year, guys. It's his 2nd. And he missed time last year because he got hurt in the preseason when they had that low block. He hurt his knee. He came back week 3, I think, against Dallas. Obviously, he wasn't really healthy then. And then we saw what he could do. We don't make the playoffs without Thibodeau last year in that strip sack fumble touchdown against Washington. We don't make it without him.
And he played great in the Colts game, too, which was a huge game. Obviously, the offense was the highlight, but he played great in that game, too. So, listen, I'm not worried about Kayvon. He may never be the best of the best of the best, which is obviously what we were hoping for when we took him 5th overall. He still could be. He's still very young. He could develop a lot more as a player. But, listen, everybody was complaining last year that the guy didn't get sacks. He's gotten 5 sacks in his last 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about? 5.5.
How long did it take Dexter Lawrence to develop?
Dexter Lawrence was always a good player, never elite before last year.
Correct.
Now he's elite. So
Kayvon Thibodeau, really good player. Maybe he is elite in year 3.
And it's not like Kayvon hasn't shown. Like, I could understand if Kayvon was kind of empty stats. Like Marcus Golden got sacks. They were empty sacks. I get it. Sacks don't tell the whole story. But it's not like last year Kayvon Thibodeau didn't show glimpses of elite productivity. That Washington game, like, there's a lot of edge rushers who aren't capable of playing like that. Like, he literally carried the team in his rookie year. In
the Dallas game on Thanksgiving, he was amazing.
Yeah. So he's shown that ability. So you got to figure he's only going to get better as he gets stronger, as he gets more accustomed to the NFL. So I'm not worried about Kayvon. I think he's going to be a big part of this team. And if you can add another premium edge rusher, because it's not going to be Aziz. I got news for you, Giants fans. Guy gets hurt way too much. But if you could add another one opposite him with Dexter Lawrence in the middle, like, oh my God, like this, suddenly this pass rush could be up there with anybody. Yeah. So I like Kayvon. I think he's an integral part of the future of this team.
I do too. I'm sorry. Jax, maybe you remember 27 months. What good guys? Also, Baddog, how happy you the Astros got their ass whooped. It didn't hurt my feelings. Kind of like it didn't hurt Chris's feelings that the Phillies got knocked out.
I was not upset about that. I was glad that, even though it's horrible for the ratings of Major League Baseball, because who wants to watch the Texas Rangers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks? But hey, I was happy that the Phillies got knocked out.
Yeah, I'm sure Chris and I both slept well knowing that those 2 teams are not in the World Series.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Dashy, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Brock Purdy has one more hurdle to get past before he's cleared to play on Sunday. I want to beat the 49ers on Sunday. Nick Bosa versus Orlando Brown Jr. I'll be honest, Dash, I think I told you this last night. I really think the Bengals are going to win that game. By the way, I'm pretty sure Kayvon Thibodeau has more sacks than Nick Bosa. I'm just throwing that out.
He does. I've seen a lot of 49ers games this year because they've been on primetime a lot. Bosa's incredible, okay? Yeah. I've seen him be very dumb. But the games that I've watched the 49ers this year, and I'm sure he's getting doubled a ton, he has not had the impact that I expect to see Nick Bosa have on a weekly basis. So, and I know he was dealing with an injury at the beginning of the year. I think he was playing banged up a bit. But, I think Cincinnati has a chance. I mean, they just lost to Minnesota. The 49ers have not, especially after they sustained some of those injuries, have not looked near the team that they looked 3 or 4 weeks ago. Purdy is starting to show some holes in his game. So, I agree. I could see that definitely being a bounce back game for Cincinnati. I already advanced my knockout pool this week. I took Buffalo because Baddog, I said to myself, because there were better options in the knockout pool this week. You had the Chargers versus the Bears at home. That's probably going to be a popular pick. There's a few others, but I said to myself, in a knockout pool, you always want to pick a team that not a lot of people are picking because you're hoping that there's a huge upset like there was last week with the Bills when they lost. I said, nobody's going to pick the Bills. They're not playing well recently, and this is a perfect bounce-back game. So I said, all right, let 4% of my pool pick the Bills, and then maybe 35% pick the Chargers. They get picked off, but I already advanced, so I'm up to week 9 in my knockout pool.
It's good. That's good. That's the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
I in those things, I get eliminated right away. And that crap always happens. I swear to God. Like I would have taken Dallas to beat Arizona, and Arizona would. That's what would happen to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Will, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you. He says, is our strength and conditioning coach not good enough? Because we lead the NFL in injuries since 2017. I don't understand how we get hurt so much. I don't know. I wish I had an answer. Patty don't even have an answer. She works with the Giants. She interviews the Giants. She don't even know why this happens.
It's just bad luck too. It's just bad luck too, man. But
yeah,
again, I think we feel the injuries more than most teams too, because we don't draft well. Historically, so we don't have a lot of depth. This draft looks promising. I mean, JMS has to get back out on the field healthy. Hyatt is definitely showing a lot of promise. Deontay Banks. So like this draft is certainly looking promising. I don't know about Eric Gray. Hopefully he hasn't really got an opportunity, but as a punt returner, he's completely out of his game, out of his element.
He does though.
Yeah, no, I want to see him get an opportunity to run the football if we decide to move off Saquon this year or next year. But yeah, this rookie class has certainly been encouraging for sure. And some of the members of last year's rookie class are starting to show a lot of growth. Micah McFadden. So it's good to see those younger players start to grow up a bit.
Micah McFadden and Bobby O are forming a very nice tandem.
Big time.
Big time. Kayvon Thibodeau. They're forming a tandem like big Sexy Dexy and Leo in the middle. It was nice to see Leo have a bounce back game. Big block field goal in that game, a sack. Like he and Dexter were doing it. And I want to give a shout out to our guy. We put Nick Gates there on purpose. He's a giant, man. Come on. Destroyed. Nick Gates, like, come on, Dex. Here you go. Have that. Dex, get back on the
game. What was it? Dex and I think it was McKinney got into it. I'm sorry, Gates and McKinney got into it.
Gates and McKinney.
Yeah, they got some verbal altercation going there.
Not that McKinney did anything wrong at all.
No.
Shouldn't even got flagged, honestly. But Nick Gates that's one of the reason we love him. He'll go and stand up for his guys.
Oh, I love him. Still love him.
Rain and Burst, thank you for watching Go North of the Border. He says, shout out to Pizzle. Saw you with him, Chris, on last game stream. Go Giants. Let's slay those Jets and get rolling. I'm ready to get rolling.
Yeah, I didn't do a game stream with him, but yeah, I just did a stream with him. It was a good conversation. It was nice to actually get to talk football with Pizzle and listen, say what you want about him. And he's definitely theatrical with what he does on his channel, but he's definitely a dire Giants fan. And I actually think he knows a lot more about the team than a lot of people realize because I think he's actually a pretty knowledgeable football fan, but sometimes he does what he does. He has fun on his channel.
Yeah. Everybody's entitled to make the content the way they want to make it.
Yeah.
That's why they call it YouTube.
Listen, I go on there, I laugh. He's a funny guy, but
funny guy.
I just wish he would make more content like that sometimes because I know he's a smart football fan.
Yeah. Christopher K, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, Baddog, I've been listening for a few months and I love your content. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Chris. Is Chris first time and you're great together. Well, Christopher, we appreciate that. Yeah, Chris and I have done this show this is our 6th year. So we've been doing this. This is the longest running show where it's been 2 content creators doing a weekly show. Like nobody was doing this in 2018. It was because the streaming thing was kind of new. But glad you found the show. And we do this every week, Christopher, which is going to lead me to this. If you guys are not subscribed to Chris, make sure you go into the description. The link is there because we alternate channels with the show.
Carl Banks is going to be Chris.
That's right. Carl Banks is going to be on the channel next week.
So we're going to have Carl Banks on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The Carl Banks, number 58, Ring of Honor, All Pro in 87, Hall of Fame nominee, Ring of Honor, that guy, Carl Banks. Yeah, he's going to be on this show. So you definitely want to make sure you subscribe to Chris and come back next week when we have the legendary Carl Banks on the show. And we do game streams together every week too. We alternate channels. So
that's how you know. That's how you know that. And there are a lot of. It's funny. There are a lot of Red Sox and Giants fans. I've learned that since I've been on YouTube. Yes. That's how you know he likes you, though. He's wearing a Red Sox hat and he's donating to you.
Right.
Like you are the most. I'm
a Yankee fan.
New York Yankee fan that there is. So that's how you know that guy really likes you. But appreciate the compliment, Chris. Thanks for popping in.
I say it all the time. I mean, obviously, love my Giants fans to death, without question. We're all Giants fans. We all live and die with this team. But when you get guys, Red Sox fans, Eagles fans, Cowboys fans, they're saying, I hate your team, Baddog. I love what you do, man. Here, have $5 or $10 or just being here and saying, Baddog, I hate the Giants, but I love your content. I love your content. Or, you guys are fantastic. I hate your team, guys, but you guys are some of the best on YouTube. When it's coming from like an arch rival fan base, that obviously means a lot, because it's easy, because we get a lot of that. You guys suck ass. You guys are terrible. But it does mean a lot to us, so we really do appreciate it. Chris, absolutely. Thank you for the super chat. I feel like we're going to be in quarterback hell.
Could be. Could easily be in quarterback hell if you pick a quarterback in the top 5, though. There's plenty of teams that have been in quarterback hell that have picked early. Obviously, I understand the percentages say that there's a better chance you'll hit on a quarterback if you pick early, but that is far from a guarantee. And I'm going to tell you what, we're going to be in team hell until it's not just a quarterback. This line's got to get a lot better, But I obviously understand a new quarterback brings hope. Obviously, I get it. And I will agree with the decision if that's the route that they go. But we got a lot more growing to do than just a quarterback. There's not going to be some magician that's going to come in here and is going to fix this line. It's not going to happen. This line's got to get a lot better. And I think it will, hopefully. I don't even want to say that because Evan Neal's been so disappointing. But we'll see what happens with John Michael Schmitz. And I got to think next year, Baddog, if this continues, we've said it countless times. All Giants fans have said it at this point.
Bobby Johnson.
You got to move Neal to the guard.
And you got to get rid of Bobby Johnson.
All for this head. But then you got to find somebody here that could coach for 4 or 5 years, because I'm sick of flipping offensive line coaches. You need continuity there. But yeah, I agree. He's gonna be the guy that falls on the sword.
Really, thank you for super chat. I think we answered this earlier. Who's playing better, Tyrod or DJ? Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Tyrod's better than DJ. DJ's better than Tyrod. They're different, but the offense is way more balanced with Tyrod in there.
I'll answer. Tyrod's played better. Tyrod's played better this year than Daniel Jones. Anybody that's saying otherwise is not answering that question honestly. I will factor in everything. Jones has not had Barkley for a wide portion of the year. That is a factor. Mm-hmm. But
Jones has played tougher teams. That is a factor.
Yeah, and Jones has played much tougher teams. But Tyrod has looked a lot more confident out there throwing the football. He just has, and the line's still not very good. And I still think Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor. But if you're asking me who's playing better this year, it's been Taylor.
Yeah.
It's a small
you could say that. You could say that about a lot.
Yeah, it's a small sample size, and he hasn't played the level of teams that. Well, I mean, the Bills are pretty good, but he hasn't. Last week Washington was our weakest opponent outside of Arizona, but he's played well. He's played as well as you could hope for a backup quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last year, who would you have said had a better year? Dak Prescott or Daniel Jones? Does that mean Daniel Jones is better than Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
He played better than him last year. Tyrod Taylor's playing better. He like I said, the offense is balanced. We see some running. We see some throws to Waller. We see some deep shots. We see some underneath stuff. He's just more decisive. It is confidence. And this has always been, and it's been with me for as long, since my Daniel Jones explosion. And Chris, we had our reaction, and like I said, 10 million people saw that. We weren't happy that night. He grew on us. We were going to give him a chance. We were going to root for him. He's a giant. I always thought that his physical capabilities were definitely top third. And people are like, you're crazy, Daniel Jones top third. Yeah, he's tall. He throws a good deep ball. He's accurate. He can run. He's not athletic, but he's mobile. Like, he can get out of the pocket. When he gets going, he runs really fast. His legs are a weapon.
Yeah,
but his processing skill it's slow. And
the
action time is slow with a bad offensive line. Bad combination.
Yeah, and listen, I came around to supporting Daniel Jones, and I think we've both been overly, as fair as we can be with Daniel Jones.
I feel
not just last year, throughout the course of his career.
Yeah.
We obviously didn't love him as a prospect when the Giants drafted him, as most Giants fans did not. Let's be honest.
They all reacted the way we did, but yeah, they weren't happy. Most Giants fans weren't happy.
But listen, even his rookie year, I wasn't as high as most people. Like, a lot of people after his first game were going crazy. The Bucks. I still was like, Like, I still saw, and he was a rookie, so I didn't come down on him. But I still saw him making a lot of bad throws. And then I obviously understood he had a horrible situation. So last year I gave him a fair opportunity, And he played as well as I could have hoped for, given the situation. He played as well as I could have hoped for. So I backed him. But, yeah, this year, Bad Dog, I mean, come on, let's be fair. He has not played like even close to a franchise quarterback. So
listen,
that's just the truth.
People will bring up that second half against Arizona, which is amazing. I forgot who it was. It's a guy. I mean, I get along with the guy. It's not like I have a Twitter war. I really don't have a Twitter war. There's a couple of people that just like to troll me or just give me shit for everything I post. But a lot of Giants fans, the Giants fans that are like active and have followings, they don't do this. But one guy posted Daniel Jones' second half stats against Arizona, and he said, "Giant, the people that hate Jones or people that don't believe in Jones will disregard these." And I said, "No." I said, pretty sure everybody was very happy when Jones said that. I don't think there was any Giants fan go, "Oh man, I'm so upset that he had a good half." My point was those are 2 quarters. What about the other 17 quarters where the man scored 24 points? And then it was like, well, the line wasn't as good as it is with Tyrod and the play calling and Saquon. Listen, he scored 24 points in 17 quarters. That's
disappointing.
You can't do that.
I thought he was going to be a lot better this year. I was wrong. Sue me. Sue me. Second year in the offense, Dable, Kafka, the way that Jones looked last year. Yeah, of course I thought he was going to be a lot better.
He added pieces around him?
He hasn't been. There's variables to that, but listen, he's the quarterback. He's getting paid $40 million. He's got to overcome it. He hasn't done it.
It's just his hesitancy, but you can see it.
And he had another injury, which is
right.
Horrible.
Now he's got another serious injury.
Yeah.
It just, like you mentioned it last week, it just goes to show you how underappreciated Eli was and his grit and toughness to be out there every single week. Because let's face it, at the last half of Eli's career, he was getting hit like Daniel Jones. He was getting hit like that. The only difference is Eli didn't run, so he didn't take the extra hits that Jones takes. Because Eli didn't run at all. Chris, thank you for the super chat. He says Jones only got quarterback pay on hope, not production. Sometimes that works. Option, but yes.
Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, though, Bad Dog. Sometimes that's the best way to pay somebody is based off of not what they've done, what you're projecting them to do. Look at Jalen Brunson. I know it's a different sport. People were screaming at the Knicks. Jalen Brunson never averaged more than 15 points in a season or whatever it was when the Knicks signed him to the deal that they did. Now that deal looks incredible because the Knicks were able to anticipate that he was ascending as a player. Obviously, the Giants rolled the dice. They didn't have the same results the Knicks did. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Not every freaking GM's gonna hit. You don't hit every time. You're not gonna be perfect. Very few guys are. Some guys it works out. I can tell you this: when Jalen Hurts was drafted by Philadelphia, and even his first year there, Eagle fans wanted him gone. And I know this. Lord Brunson's one of the only people that I know that stood behind Jalen Hurts from day one. And I look at Eagles pages and I go into their live streams and I read the comments. They did not like Jalen Hurts. Last year I was like, I knew Jalen Hurts is going to be great. Yeah, sure he did. But he ended up working out for him. But if Jalen Hurts is behind this line, and we did the Super Friends roundtable. Somebody asked Lord Brunson, they said, why is he getting away with throwing all these interceptions? And I said, why he's getting away with it? Because they're winning. And that's just a fact. And then people are like, no, it's because he had some balls chipped and some weird things. It doesn't matter. 3 of Daniel Jones' interceptions hit the receiver right in the hands. And nobody goes, well, Daniel Jones really only has 3 interceptions. And they're all like, oh, 6 interceptions. It's funny how that works. The fact of the matter is, Hurts has turned the ball over 10 times this year, okay? If the Eagles are 2-5 and Jalen Hurts is getting the money he's getting in, he's putting up those numbers, Eagle fans would be killing him. That's why Giants fans are killing Daniel Jones. Number one, he ain't played well. Number two, he just got $160 million. And although that's mid-tier, it still is mid-tier. It's a ton of money to us.
Yeah.
But guaranteed money, he's middle of the pack. Mm-hmm. But because he got the contract, now it's magnified. And the Giants are losing. If the Giants are 5-2, they'd probably still be saying Daniel Jones ain't any good, Daniel Jones, but it wouldn't be nearly the crucifixion. They certainly wouldn't be talking about drafting a quarterback because he wouldn't have the opportunity to do so. Yeah. So it's just funny how all of it works. Andy, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you. We'll be doing well. Could the Giants trade DJ away before Tuesday? Evening Jets. No. With his neck, no.
Yeah, no. Nobody's taking his contract with the way he's played and how he's been banged up. Daniel Jones is going to be a Giant next year. It's just a matter of, if he's not retired. Hopefully that's not the case. And he's able to continue to play football. But if he, and I think he will be, but if he is, he's going to be a Giant next year. The only question is, are we going to draft a quarterback?
Thanks. Travis, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. So what if Jones has a great year next year?
Then we revisit the conversation.
Correct.
That's football. That's it. That's football. We revisit the conversation, Travis.
Right. And I'll tell you, Travis, it depends on what happens this year, right?
Yeah.
Because if say the Giants do go 3-14, say that happens, and they draft Drake May, and Daniel Jones is starting next year because he has to, because he's getting $47 million. And the Giants are good. Say they end up 10-7, and he has a really good year. Then you explore a trade.
Well, yeah, no. If they draft a quarterback, it doesn't matter how well.
But that's what I'm saying. So
yeah. No, I obviously am assuming Travis meant if we don't draft the quarterback, Jones is the starter and he plays well. If we draft
then you have him for another year.
Then you bring Daniel Jones back for the third year of that deal as the starter.
Right.
Pretty obvious. But if we draft the quarterback, yeah, the writing's on the wall. Whether it be next year or the year after that, Jones will not be the starting quarterback.
Travis, thank you again, man. I see you asked the same question twice, but I really appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much. And that, if Jones has a great year next year and the Giants are good, it's not like he's a free agent. We have an out, but
come on back. Yeah.
Bring him back without question. Then if he sucks, then you could explore that again.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good the way they did it. Like Chris said, you can pivot. You can make a lot of moves with the way the contract is set up. That's what good GMs do. They don't back themselves into a corner. They leave themselves outs. Yeah. Always leave yourself outs. That's Mike McDermott from Rounders. Always leave yourself outs. Always leave yourself outs. That's what Joe Shane did. Mike, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, I think you're missing the point. You'll get a good player pick in 10th. Many feel it won't take the next step. No, I get the point. Trust me when I tell you. I think our point is, though, it's too early for me to root for them to lose, is my point. I mean, I understand why people are like, tank it. Just lose and get a call. I completely understand that. I get the point. I'm just saying the way I root for the Giants, I can't do it that way.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. It's see great quarterback prospect. See that's by far the most important position. See that your team needs that. Absolutely. Let's lose as many games as we can to get the guy. We understand why people feel that way. It's obvious. Yep. But hey, the way I look at it is it's still a crapshoot anyway. And there's still so many holes in this team for me, especially on the offensive end, that I don't think there's a magical quarterback that's just going to step in. I understand it sells you hope. But if this team doesn't get sucked for Sam, how did that work out for the New York Jets? Like, it didn't. So I could point to so many other instances. So I just want this team, for me, we got a long season to go. I'm just rooting for this team to play well. If we're week 16, and like what Baddog and me did when we got to the point, and thank God we won because we ended up getting Andrew Thomas. But when it got to the point where it was like 2 games to go and the game meant nothing other than pride, we were just whatever in that game. We were just like, it's the Chase Young Bowl. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Yeah. But this early in the year, I can't operate that way. I just can't do it.
Yeah, that's not the way I go either. By the way, guys and girls, hit that thumbs up. We're almost at 200 likes. We got almost 550 people in here. Thank you guys and girls for being the best chat on YouTube. Best supporters of any fan base out there. We appreciate it very much. But the likes always help. They're free. They don't cost anything. So if you can hit that, they do help out the stream. I don't know much about YouTube's algorithm. I just know that they like the thumbs up. So if you can do that, that would be awesome. Dan, thank you for the super chat. He says, whoever wins the turnover battle this week's going to win the game. One thing you have to admit, Tyrod takes better care of the ball than DJ or Zach Wilson.
Yeah. This year, yes. Last year, no. I mean, last year, Dan Jones was as good as anybody in terms of taking care of the football. But this year, yeah. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's been great. Hasn't turned the ball over, I don't think, right? Well, maybe I don't remember when he came in as late in the game, maybe he fumbled once. I honestly don't remember. But since he's been the starter, he hasn't turned the ball over. So he's been great.
Yeah, and I agree, Dan. I think the turnover battle is going to be huge because neither one of these offenses is going to consistently go up and down the field. You know that. The defense that gives their offense a short field, the one that can cash in on that, or maybe the defense even scores for one of the teams, that's obviously going to play a huge part of it. So I agree. I think turnovers are a major. They're always a big part of it. Doesn't always work out that way. I mean, we won the turnover battle 3-0 against Miami and lost by 15. And I don't think that's ever happened in the history of football. Maybe twice. It hasn't happened a lot. So you're not guaranteed. But in this game, because neither one of these teams they're not going to be confused with the greatest show on turf. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and I see people bringing up Darnold. Somebody said Darnold is the most talented arm in 49er history. Some beat reporter in San Francisco. Well, my statement wasn't that Sam Darnold sucked, even though he hasn't shown anything since he's been in the NFL. My statement was that it didn't work for the Jets. If Sam Darnold goes to the 49ers and becomes an all-pro quarterback, it still didn't work for the Jets.
Didn't work for the Panthers either.
Didn't work for the Panthers either. So that was my only point. At least it was rumored that everybody wanted to tank for Sam Darnold, suck for Sam. That was the saying before the year started for Jets fans. For the Jets, it came up a big goose egg.
I can tell you this: arm strength isn't everything in the NFL. Yeah. It just isn't. Colin Kaepernick had one of the strongest arms I've ever seen, and I loved Colin Kaepernick. Once defenses adjusted to him, he was inaccurate. Like accuracy to me is more important than velocity on your throw. Brock Purdy does not throw he doesn't have a good arm, but he was able to anticipate and make throws. Anticipatory throws are gigantic in the NFL. You have to make those tight window throws. To me, I always equate it to a guy like Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux wasn't throwing 98. Guys can throw 98, but if they can't hit location, change speeds, they're going to get killed because guys can just sit on the fastball. Greg Maddux is throwing 91, 92, but Greg Maddux mixed up pitches, hit corners, hit spots. You couldn't touch him. Didn't have a great arm, but the man knew how to throw it up there, right? I look at a quarterback the same way. It's great to have all of that stuff when you're Pat Mahomes, when you're Josh Allen. And even Josh Allen isn't the most accurate guy. We've seen him sail some throws.
I wouldn't consider
Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, like those guys, but those are the elite of the elite. And they don't grow on trees. The Trevor Lawrences. You don't get those every draft. Not every draft produces one of those guys.
Yeah.
Look at the one with Kenny Pickett.
Most don't. There's a reason there's only 5 or so elite quarterbacks.
Tua doesn't have a very strong arm.
Obviously, there's certain drafts, like you look at the Tua draft, but even Justin Herbert, I mean, and he's talented, but he doesn't look like an elite quarterback right now. He certainly is capable of being one.
Grim Silo, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, this is a guy that is definitely getting notoriety. And like I mentioned, I want to see J.J. McCarthy against Penn State and Ohio State. Then I'll have a better opportunity. Beating Bowling Green and whoever the hell else they played. Michigan State is a joke. Michigan hasn't really been tested. When they play Ohio State or Penn State,
I certainly get that argument. And listen, at the end of the day, quarterbacks are a crapshoot, like we've been saying the entire stream. You could think one guy just slam dunk. He could be Jameis Winston, whiffed in the NFL. So for where he was drafted, everybody thought he was a slam dunk.
Russell.
Jamarcus Russell. So many Sam Darnold. So
Mark Sanchez.
But I will say, and I've watched a bunch of Michigan games going back to last year when McCarthy played. I'm a fan of J.J. McCarthy. I do think he has everything I want in a quarterback. He's very mobile. I'm not saying he's Kyler Murray, but he's very mobile. He could beat you with his legs. He's got a really strong arm. He's accurate. I understand that he's got a lot of support there. They have gone up against a lot of cupcakes. I think the J.J. McCarthy hype, if it is coming, it is warranted. I've been a big fan of his for at least 4 or 5 weeks. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. That's a hot take of mine. I'm a fan of J.J. McCarthy. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback.
The reason I say this is because obviously I laugh and said because of all the Caleb Williams tank for Caleb talk, the USC ratings went through the roof because no Giants fan was really watching USC football until this Caleb Williams mentioned. And he started to run into better teams. Now there's all these stats about look at what he does against teams with top 25 defenses and look at it. So the opponent does matter. But all things considered, I look at Caleb Williams, just watch him throw. I ain't worried about Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, to me, a 2-year-old could watch Caleb Williams and know that guy's going to be great.
My kid knows he's good. He's 6. He's like,
yeah,
he knows. But yeah, J.J. McCarthy, again, the combine has a lot to do with stuff too. But like I said, he's played really well. There's no knocking him at all. Then again, I just like good college football games. Michigan, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. And Michigan, Ohio State's going to be great. When those two teams are a top 5.
Last game of the year, right? Last game of the regular season they play, right? Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
A week from tomorrow, remember, mark your calendars, because whether the Giants are getting one or not, USC, Washington. I know USC's falling off and their playoff hopes are done. But Michael Penix versus Caleb Williams, it's still worth the price of admission. Michael Penix did not have a good week last week either. That's the worst game I've seen him play in a long time. He just did not have it at all. Peter, thank you for the super chat. And that happens to every quarterback. Every quarterback. Pat Mahomes has those games. Josh Allen has those games. You're not going to be perfect all the time.
Yep.
Peter, thank you, brother. He says it's this front seven bowl. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the front seven. The secondary will be interesting too, because obviously, I don't know if Sauce is playing or what the deal is with Sauce. But we saw Hyatt cook him a couple times in the preseason. So that might be.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a really slow, boring game. If you're a fan of offense, don't watch. I think it's gonna be. Obviously, if you're a Giants fan, you're gonna watch. But I think it's gonna be a grinded out football game. I see this game being played in the. I don't even think either team reaches 20. To be honest with you, Baddog. I think it's like 17, 13, 16, something like that. Right around 30 points. Like I think it's gonna be within 3 to 7 points, and it'll be around 30 points. Will be the total amount of points scored in this game. That's what I think. Of course, things could change if there's a lot of turnovers, but I think Taylor has given me confidence the last couple of weeks that he could limit turnovers. The Bills had a good defense. He was able to limit turnovers. And I think our defense is going to keep us in the game because I don't see Zach Wilson throwing all over our defense. So I think it'll be a close game. It's going to be a boring game, but it's going to be a close game.
I do too. I'm going to say the same thing about this game that I said last week. Unless you're a fan of one of these two teams, you ain't watching the game. You find as you're watching Red Zone, you're watching another game. You ain't watching this one.
Bet the under. Whatever it is, bet the under. It's not low enough.
That's right, without question. Big Moo. Thanks so much for the super chat. It's very hard to judge a quarterback not having a consistent line.
It is.
Well, this is the argument. This is his 5th year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long you can wait.
I also agree with that argument too, but it's a lot easier to judge a quarterback when they have a line. It's a lot harder. Doesn't mean you can't make evaluations and make and formulate opinions. But of course, it's a lot harder to judge a quarterback when he's got a very bad offensive line because you say to yourself, well, if he had the protection that the good teams give their quarterbacks, he may look completely different. So I agree. It's hard to judge a quarterback with a bad offensive line.
But you look at C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's got nothing there. He's got a bad line.
C.J. Stroud's playing
very well.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's offensive line ain't any good.
Yeah.
And he's
not
really
good this year either, if we're being honest.
But he was not really.
He's great.
Healthy.
He's great. Yeah.
He also was coming off that calf strain. Who knows how healthy he was. But yeah, Cincinnati's offense for the first couple of weeks was like, what the hell is going on there? Yeah. But it looks like they're starting to get it together a little bit. But yeah.
How about the Steelers? The Steelers, how are the Steelers 4-2? How does Mike Tomlin do it? I'm like, because Kenny Pickett's been super disappointing, and the team is still going to finish over 500. It's every year. Mike Tomlin's incredible. Doesn't get enough credit. Doesn't get enough credit as a head coach.
I have no clue how Steelers do it every year.
Yeah.
But they do it. Jake, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Who's your guy's next jersey? Mine is Sexy Dexy. Let's go, big.
That's probably mine too, Jake, when I get around to it. I think that's who I'm circling. I think that's my guy.
It's tough for me. I'm thinking Jalen Hyatt. Big Jalen Hyatt fan.
Can't go wrong with that.
I like Jalen Hyatt. That might be it for me. I'm a big Jalen Hyatt guy. So if I buy another one, that's probably what it'll be. One of the classic ones. I like the classic jerseys.
Yeah.
Rondre, thank you, Rena, member for almost 4 years. Really appreciate it. Says Tyrod understands if you take a shot downfield, even if there's nothing there, it'll make the D back off a little bit. DJ's got to do the same. I've been on record saying I always want to see Daniel Jones go back and just throw the ball 50 yards down the field out of bounds. I don't even care, just to show you'll do it. I go back to the 3rd and 22 last week against Washington, and I'm like, I would just run a draw here. And Tyrod Taylor dropped back, threw the ball 50 yards down the field into double coverage. And I said, you know what? That actually wasn't a bad play. Your receiver can catch it. There could be a penalty. Those are both going to help you very much. And if it's picked off, it's like a punt. You get it inside the 5-yard line, 6-yard line. The worst thing that happened is it went incomplete. That was like the worst thing that could have happened there.
Yeah.
So that's smart football, though. Like, that's a high football IQ play, knowing I got nothing to lose. If they intercept this, I don't care about my stats. They're going to have the ball at the 5-yard line. My defense is kicking ass here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue it, man. I understand why Daniel doesn't have the ability to take as many shots as other quarterbacks, but you got to take some. You got to try to keep the defense honest. So Like I said, hopefully it's a learning lesson for him. He comes in there and he says, all right, I got to take a few more shots than I've been doing to keep the defense honest if he comes back this year. We'll see.
John, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, hey, boys, late to the party. Did you discuss those jabronis from WFN disrespecting Carl? We did.
Yeah.
And in case you didn't hear, because I'm a little delayed on these
jabronis.
These two jabronis, these two professional idiots, we're actually going to have the one and only Carl Banks on this very show, special time next week, Tuesday at 8 o'clock on Up Tainah's channel. So,
because John, we work around Carl's schedule. We're not like the Jets guys on WFN. We hang up the phone. No, we work around Carl, and trust me, not only will we not hang up on Carl, we will sit and we will listen to Carl rather than talk over him like a buffoon. Like that guy is. Well, Licata. And I had Licata on my channel, actually, during the pandemic. He was a nice guy to me, but my God, what a jerk he was in that segment. Awful.
Yeah, what an ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, in case you guys just tuned in, Carl Banks will be on this show. I tweeted out today, half jokingly, half not. I said, I listened to that WFAN interview again, and I said, the disrespect was appalling. And then I added Carl Banks, and I said, Carl, you are more than welcome to come on Chris and my show anytime. And I promise we won't hang up on you, with a little laugh emoji. And like I said, maybe an hour later, I noticed that a lot of impressions, and I noticed that he retweeted my tweet and he said, let's do it. And then I looked at my DMs and it was there, and we set up a time. So I thought that was really cool. Like I said, that made my day, because this is a guy that I grew up watching win 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, and he's one of the best Giants ever. That's pretty awesome. And the one thing I know, Carl is very soft-spoken. He knows his stuff. He's very knowledgeable. He's very down to earth. Very down to earth. So that's a big thrill for me. Chris has actually worked with him before. Yeah. But it's a big thrill to us just to have him on the show. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Chris, thank you again, my man. Appreciate it. He says, I just like the hat. Okay, he's good enough. I'm a dire Giants fan. We all are, Chris. We all. A lot of Chris's in the chat tonight. A lot of Chris's.
Yeah.
He says, not proud of it all the time, but it's a love-hate relationship. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I can't use the term proud and the Giants in the same sentence in recent history for the most part. Last year I was proud. But hey, I love them. And that's it. You support those that you love, and I love the Giants. So I'm with it, through the good and the bad, and it's been a lot of bad.
Toasty, thank you for the super chat. No trivia question from tonight. He says, what's crazy is that Tyrod once made the Pro Bowl.
I mean, Tyrod had a really good, a couple of pretty good years. I think he threw 20 touchdowns and 6 picks with the Bills one year. Brought him to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. So he's he's obviously older now. So you're a little bit surprised.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, well, aren't we all? But he's been a capable quarterback in the NFL. I would say there was a 3 or 4 year span where he was a league average quarterback, starting quarterback, which is good. That's a top 15 quarterback. So yeah, he's been a successful quarterback in the NFL. That's why the Giants paid him what they did, which was a lot for a backup. So,
yeah. And how much better is a Giants fans knowing that when Tyrod comes in, you actually have a legitimate chance to win. Let's be honest. At the end of 2021, we're watching Jake Fromm and Mike Glennon. Did anybody think we had any prayer of winning any game with either one of those guys under center? I know I didn't. At all. John, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Says the NFL is so crazy. Washington scores 31 against the Eagles and loses in overtime. Then against Giants, if not for a fumble, they may have been shut out. It's about matchups. It really is about matchups. Commanders play the Eagles again this week. I feel the Eagles are going to run them over this time, but we'll see.
They just match up well with them, though. I don't know what it is. There's certain teams that match up well with others, and Washington, at least in recent history, has matched up well with the Eagles. They've given them good fights.
They don't match up with us at all, though.
No, they don't.
Beat them. For whatever reason, obviously, it does not matter the quarterback. It does not matter the record. It does not matter the year. 3 things are guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and the Giants beating Washington. Yeah. That's it. That's all. So I don't know. It's crazy. It's funny how that works, though. Irish, they remember 2 years. He says Shane is not done. He is not done with the rebuild. More work. Oh, it's his second year. Second year.
Yeah.
We'll get better. He's gonna have more cap flexibility next year than he's had by far in his tenure with the Giants. Hell, a lot more maneuverability next year, without question. Without question. I think that's why I brought in a lot of these guys on 1-year deals. Just kind of, they're placeholders.
Flexibility.
Until he gets his guys, till he has money to get his guys.
Yeah.
That's why I think he took care of the big guys.
Well, Jalen Hyatt becomes one of his guys. Deonte Banks becomes one of his guys. He's building through the draft.
Wandale becomes one of his guys.
Yeah.
In places like Shepard or Paris Campbell or whoever. Yeah. But that's what's going to happen. I think they're placeholders. And if they worked out, then you could give them an extended contract next year. If they didn't, then you just replace him. But he'll have money to replace him. And I think that's what it is. He didn't really have money to give these guys long term. And he didn't want to hurt his future cap. So he went with a 1-year deal and said, really, this was a trial and error thing. And hey, if they work out, great. We can bring a couple of these guys back. If they don't, we just bring in more people. We'll have more money to spend. T. Higgins, perhaps, is a guy that you never know.
Nice. That'd be nice.
That could be a guy that they bring in. Maybe he says, all right, I'm going to give T. Higgins, 4 years, 80 million, whatever the hell receivers make. I don't know. 4 years, 76 million. 4 years, 84 million. I don't know what they make.
Probably more. Probably more than that he'll get. Yeah.
But we'll have money to do it.
Yeah.
And then people will tell me, oh, Baddog, that's great, but it doesn't matter. He ain't got a quarterback to throw to him. I mean, you're right. I can't argue that. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Raiden, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. You're right, Baddog. Tyrant is more confident than DJ. I honestly think that's the biggest difference. Chris mentioned it earlier. He really has nothing to lose. He really doesn't. He doesn't have anything to live up to. He's a backup. He's been around the league forever. If he comes in and sucks, nobody's going to kill him for it. He's a backup.
He's got no pressure.
So he's playing with house money. And when you're playing with house money, but I think Tyrod is he's been in the league a long time. He's seen a lot of things and he knows what to do. He's just a professional. He's a consummate professional. And he, he's not setting the world on fire, but he's now also made you question. The Chris mentioned this right at the top of the stream. He's made you question Daniel Jones. It's not a good look on Daniel Jones that you're saying, well, which one is better now? Your backup quarterback that's been in the league for 13 years or the guy you just gave $160 million to?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be close.
Yeah, like I said at the top of the stream, for me at least, the debate's not Tyrod versus Jones. It's Jones versus a draft pick. But the fact that Tyrod is doing what he, making Jones look the way that he has, well, that gives you your answer. If Jones doesn't get a lot better when he comes back, if he comes back.
Ramon, thank you for super chat. He says, what do you think about Sal Licata? What I think about Sal is this. Well, got a good first name. I'll give him that. But if you replace the T with a C, I think you got what he is. He's Sal Licata.
Listen, he was nice enough, like I said earlier, to come on my channel during the pandemic, and he was a pretty nice guy then. I didn't know he was a Falcons fan. I don't know if he still displays that when he's on WFM, but he's a Falcons fan.
I didn't know he was a Falcons fan.
Yeah, I didn't know either until I talked to him on my channel. But he obviously covers New York teams. He's a Mets fan and everything else. He was nice to me on my channel. He gave me some time to come on and whatever. But I mean, that was a bad look for him, man, to treat Carl the way in which he did. And both of those guys, not just him specifically, but yeah, I mean, you don't treat a guest like that, especially a guy as accomplished as Carl Banks. You don't treat him like he's a Joe Schmo caller. Like you
don't treat him like he's me. If I call, then you hang up on me.
I get it. If there's a caller, or like when we're on YouTube and you have trolls in the chat that are being disrespectful, and I'm not saying Carl was being disrespectful, but if they felt like he was being disrespectful, you still don't treat him like that. You show more respect to a guest like that. So bad look, very bad look for them. Very unprofessional.
Yeah. I don't know what they were doing. Just strange to me. You should just sit there and listen. Like they're like, well, you're not going to tell us how to do our show. Well, I don't think you should tell Carl Banks what he should or shouldn't think about Kayvon Thibodeau. He's telling you, and then it sounds like, oh, we asked him, he should know, and he's not telling us why. I'm like, he's telling you exactly why. He's telling you, you're just not listening to him because you're screaming over the top of him. Listen to what he's trying to tell you. Sacks aren't everything. He's top 10 in the league of sacks. He had 7 or 8 pressures in the game against Washington alone. And then they because Carl Banks is saying that, they're like, well, he's not Micah Parsons. Well, no kidding. Who is?
That's a stupid comment.
That's deflecting, and that doesn't make any sense.
That's like saying
that's what Carl Banks said.
That's like saying Michael Strand, not to say that Kayvon's on the level of Strand, he's not, but that's like saying Michael Strand's not Lawrence Taylor. Like, what are we doing? Like, okay, so he's not the best edge rusher in the NFL. So we're going to kill him for that? That's just stupid.
Yeah, because that's what he said. Carl Banks actually said he's not Micah Parsons. And then Brandon's like, why not? Why not? Well, I mean, why is it Daniel Jones, Pat Mahomes? Because it's different skill sets, a different talent level. I mean, not every guy's got different talents.
Yeah.
Not every guy. Micah Parsons is a special player. Kayvon Thibodeau could be a special player. He's not there yet, but he's trending in that direction. He's not going the other way.
Yeah.
If he was going the other way, if he didn't have a sack this year, or he had one sack and he wasn't making an impact in any game, then I would agree with the argument. Like, where the hell is this guy? But he is showing up.
Yeah.
Where am I going here? Sounds doorknob. That he is. Listen, fans just trying to get ratings. WF fan. So what it's all about.
Probably.
Yes. But the thing is, they're professional. People be like, oh, you only did that video to get views. You only tweeted that out to get clicks. Well, no kidding. Why? I'll never in my life, Chris, I'll never understand the point of saying you only did that for views or clicks. If you're not doing it for views or clicks, just text yourself the thought then. Why would you put anything on social media if you didn't want somebody to see it?
Yeah.
I will never get that train of thought. Now, WFAN, different story. That is supposed to be professional. You went to school for this. This is a profession. This is your job. You're interviewing people that are in the league. You're interviewing real athletes. You're interviewing the guys that we discussed. You're talking to these guys. You're supposed to keep it on a professional level. It's a professional production. This is two guys in their basement talking to you on YouTube. This is different. We try to be as unbiased and realistic as possible, but there's definitely times I'm certainly not professional, but I don't have to be because this is not my job.
Yeah.
So gigantic difference between being a professional trying to get ratings and just being a Joe Schmo on the internet.
Well, to me, it's not even about being professional. It's about being respectful too.
Correct.
Like there's times where people try, if you go out of your way to try to make somebody look bad, whether it's another content creator, if you're a YouTuber, or you're not being respectful. You could be respectful no matter what you do, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on WFAN, whatever. There's no respect there. It was just completely disrespectful. So I lost a lot of respect for them because they were disrespectful.
Well, thanks. Says I disagree. We in it for life, not for likes. I didn't say I was in it for likes. I said in it for views or clicks. I don't care if they like what I say. I put my opinion out there to be viewed and to be critiqued or agreed with. I don't care if people like it or they don't. I'm not in it for likes. But like I said, why do you tweet authentic? Why do you have a YouTube channel? Why do you do what you do? Why don't you just put every podcast of you and the beard on private and watch it in the privacy of your own home with nobody looking at it? Why are you on YouTube? Why are you tweeting out anything? That's my point. Why do you do what you do if you don't want somebody to view it? I don't care if they like it or they don't. I'd rather them like it. But if people say, screw you, Baddog, you suck, that's okay. I can live with that. But I want somebody to see that and go, I don't like this guy. I want them to watch and go, I don't like that guy. I can live with that. That's fine. But my point is,
everybody wants views. It's just a matter of how you go about doing it.
Correct.
That's it. Like everybody you wouldn't be making content if you didn't want views. Otherwise, you would just be on your cell phone talking to your friends.
Yes, I mean, I can tweet myself.
It's just a matter of how you go about doing it. Yeah.
But that's my point. The whole reason for social media is for people to see your posts, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, whatever other things are out there, Reddit. I don't know what other posted boards are, but the whole idea of these social media platforms is for people that you don't know to read your opinions, view your content, whether they like it or they don't. Because, like I said, I could just be having this conversation with Chris with nobody looking at it, but I'd rather get the opinion of the extra 500 people that are in here and have a good conversation about football. That's the way I look at it. And again, I'm not going to knock anybody for whatever they do. I don't care what they do. It doesn't matter. I just do what I do. That's all I can really concern myself with. I can't make people think a certain way. I can't force them to do. I don't care. I'm just like I said, it's called YouTube for a reason. You want people to see your videos, you know. I don't want to be famous. I'm not looking to be, hey, I want to be. I mean, listen, if WFAN called me tomorrow, I'm not going to sit and go, I don't want it. But I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking to be famous, you know. So, clickbait's a different story. You know, it is. That's different. Clickbait to me is I put a title in a video or a thumbnail in a video that has nothing to do with the topic. That to me is clickbait. Not a catchy title that gets somebody to jump and watch it. That's part of marketing. But to say, let me just say, I make a video and show Daniel Jones and say, Daniel Jones was traded. Big Daniel Jones trade. So that's clickbait to me. Oh, the big Daniel Jones trade. And then they go on to proceed to talk about speculation.
A potential trade. Yeah.
That's clickbait.
Yeah.
That's clickbait, in my opinion. But like I said, to each their own. I don't knock anybody that has the balls to come on any social media platform and have their views read and critiqued. None at all. Yardley, thank you for the super chat. He says, hard question, please be honest. If Daniel Jones has another horrible injury-prone season next year, would you keep him or get rid of him?
Get rid of him.
He's gone.
Yeah, get rid of him. You have to keep him next year because of his contract. But, yeah, listen, if he doesn't play like a franchise quarterback by the end of next year, he's gone. Whether it's injury or not, he's gone.
Yep.
That's why they left themselves the out.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Jitan, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, we are running the table, mark my words. That'd be amazing. I'll take, we got 10 games left. Wow.
Yeah, 10 games, yeah.
7-3. I love to run the table. I'll take 7-3.
Be nice.
You know,
be nice.
I don't know if that can happen. Thoughts on Tyrod starting the rest of the season because the offense looks more fluid. Daniel is I think Daniel's a statue. I just think he doesn't. He's too hesitant. And like I said, hesitancy and a bad old line, that's a terrible combination. You end up with the Giants offense. That's what happens.
Listen, if that's up to Tyrod. If Tyrod keeps playing the way that he has played and he continue to win football games, it's going to become more of a conversation. I mean, we'll even see if Daniel Jones can come back. Obviously, this injury is more threatening than people thought when it initially happened. But if we keep winning games, that becomes more of a topic. If we lose, it doesn't. So that's we'll see how Tyrod plays again tomorrow, and he plays Sunday, I should say, and the week after that.
Yep, I agree. Ramon, thank you again. He says talk radio is dying. Controversy sells. YouTube is what is that? Oh, king. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have controversy does sell, and people are going to give controversial takes. I'm fine with that. I'm not soft. I don't. People can have controversial takes. That's fine, but you can't disrespect a guest like that. You know, you want to say Kayvon Thibodeau sucks and his body sucks and whatever else those two guys were talking about. Okay. But you have a guy that's on there and he has a weekly spot on there, I'm pretty sure. And you just talk over him and disrespect him and act like like I said, he's just some caller from, I can't even think of a place down. So I'm just trying to think of somewhere in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
listen, I think that's something that I've always tried to do and that you've always tried to do. And we're not near on their level in terms of, I have a job. I don't do this professionally. You have a job. Right. You don't do this professionally.
Right.
I've always tried to be beyond respectful when I have people on my channel.
Absolutely.
And I don't go out of my way to go to other people's channels and make them look bad. I've always tried to support people. It is what it is. But to me, that's just being a decent human being,
right?
Not going out of your way to try to disrespect people. So it was a bad look for them. It was a bad look.
It was. And again, because you don't like what he says, you hang up on him. I mean, it makes you look weak to me. I don't know. Yeah. I'm like Chris. I've never had anyone on my channel that was just completely disrespectful to, because why would I do that?
Yeah.
It's just not, I don't know. I just don't have that. I'm too old. I don't have that kind of energy. I said before, I don't really care what other people do. If it does not affect me, I stay in my own lane, man. I have my own beliefs. I have my own views. I don't push my beliefs or views on anybody. I say this all the time. I don't come on here with an agenda. I don't push an agenda. I don't sit by one take and then never move off of it, no matter how wrong I am, and go and make an excuse. Oh, well, deflect a different way, deflect this way, just because some people can't go, I was wrong. I don't care. I don't understand. Like I said, the incessant need to be right on social media is a disease.
Yeah.
Okay, you were right. Okay.
Here's a cookie.
Right. You were right, and then everybody forgets.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, but
yeah. As you get larger, people don't forget when you're wrong, though.
No,
they
that's
forget
true.
quickly when you were
People
right.
always forget when you're right. They don't care
Yeah.
about that because nobody cares when you're right. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a damn when you're right. Nobody cares. Oh, you were right. Big
Yeah.
deal. You were wrong about that. You could be right about it. It's like this. You go to a really good restaurant, you might tell one person it was really good. You get a bad experience at a restaurant, you can tell 10 people how bad it was.
Yeah.
That's just the way the world works.
Yep.
That is just the way it is. Negative reviews will get more eyes than positive ones. It's just a society. It's just a way of the world. But I'm not going to sit here and come on here and disrespect somebody. I mean, I'll sit there and go after the media. I have no problem with that. If I don't believe in their take or I think their take sucks, I'll tell them that their take sucks. And I can be wrong about their take sucking. I was wrong about LaShawn McCoy. The only reason I was mad at LaShawn McCoy is because he did a complete 180 when he was talking about how great Daniel Jones was. And then 6 months later, he's like, oh, he sucks. And I'm like, how can you change your mind? He hasn't even played a game. But he was right. I was wrong. It is what it is. He knew. I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. But Shady's not coming on. Not that he watches it. But he ain't going to come on and go, oh, what up, man, dog? You were wrong about that, man. You got me, Shady. What can I tell you? Floyd Rage. It's a good name because Lord knows I know all about the last part of your name. He says, we're going to stomp a muddle in the Jets and walk a dry. That's a little rage right there. If I had my soundboard up, I would throw the old Stone Cold up there for you because of that. But
I think it should be a good game. So I think we got a shot, just like last week. I think it's pretty comparable to last week. I think we got a good shot to win.
Yeah, I was going to say a good shot to win a competitive game. Probably not a good game.
No, it won't be a good game. It'll be a close game. It won't be a good game. It won't be a good game.
There you go.
Yeah.
It'll be like last week. Last week was a horrendous game.
Yeah.
Awful. And Louis T and I talked about that on the Super Bowls. How bad that game was. It was so bad. When Washington and the Giants play, neither one of them wants it. Neither one of them wants it. One of them will get out to a lead and then go, you know what? Here's the fumble. Here's the interception. I don't want it. I don't want it. You take it. And then Washington's like, you know what? I don't want it. You take it. No, I don't want it. You take it. All right, we'll take it, I guess. you know. Well, thanks. Dude, like I said, I'm 47. I always trust my instincts. Always.
And sometimes your instincts are going to be wrong, and sometimes they're going to be right. It is what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
And
like I said,
and the people that piss me off are the people that act like they're always right.
Anybody
that comes on here and says, "Oh, I was right about this," tell me when you were wrong. Then,
yeah,
it's the worst. Like everybody's going to be wrong, and everybody's going to be right. We're throwing opinions out there.
The thing is, I'm sorry, Chris.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, a lot of my channel is not on instincts. My channel is based on performance and what I think of the performance. And performances change week to week. They just do. You look at the power rankings in the NFL. You look at the college rankings in football. They change week to week. Why? Not because somebody's sitting on, you know what? I love USC. USC has Caleb Williams and they got all these guys and they picked up Marshawn Lloyd and they're, this team is great. And Lincoln Riley's got this mind. And we had them 6th in the preseason poll. And who gives a damn that they lost to Notre Dame bad and they lost? Who the hell did they play last week?
Who are we talking about?
USC. I'm just saying.
USC, they played. Who'd they play?
I can't remember who the hell they played now. It wasn't a good team. They lost.
Wasn't a good team. It wasn't a team they should have lost to.
It's escaping me. But they lose. But that'd be like them losing. And then you go, still 6th in a poll. Because I like them. I don't care that they lost to Notre Dame. I don't care that they've lost 3 games now and they're lost 2 games and they're out of it.
Utah. Who's actually a pretty good team.
Yeah,
they have a really good defense.
They're a good team. So, but regardless, you lost to Utah, you lost to Notre Dame, but screw it, we're keeping them 6th all year because sports is a week to week, especially football. Yeah. The pulse of sports consistently changes all the time.
Yeah.
You listen, Michael K. called Joe Judge Gold Jacket Joe. How'd that work out for Michael K? Not good. He's a professional, right? Millions of dollars for Michael K. Wrong, right?
You're gonna be wrong.
Stephen A. Smith. How many times is Stephen A. Smith? I think Stephen A. Smith tries to be wrong. Okay. Skip Bayless. How bad are those guys? But their opinions change. God, you can't just, I won't just sit on an opinion because my first opinion was wrong. That's not me. That's just not me. I won't deflect and go, well, I would be right if this happened, if that happened. No, shit, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's all.
Sometimes you're gonna be right. Sometimes you're gonna be wrong. It is what it is.
You know, it is. So if you don't get caught bluffing in poker, you're not bluffing enough. That's a fact. That's a truth. Afghanistan says hit that like button and subscribe. That's right. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. But more importantly, you got to go into the description and subscribe to Chris, because if you just tuned in, the big news today was Carl Banks actually reached out to me after I added him on Twitter and said, Carl, you're more than welcome to come on this show anytime you want. We will not hang up on you. And the next thing I know, he retweeted it and said, let's go, let's make it happen. And he DM'd me, and Tuesday at 8:00, we're going to have the legendary Carl Banks on the show. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that. Hopefully you'll tune in for that. And Chris and I will probably just sit back and let him have the floor, because I want to learn from a consummate professional that played at the highest level and played it to a Hall of Fame level. Yeah. Won 2 Super Bowls. That's the guy I want to listen to. I'm going to listen to everybody's opinion. That's a guy that I'm just going to sit there and listen to and educate myself, because he's going to know way more than I do. Not even close. So I'm not going to sit there and disrespect him. I'm just going to listen and take it all in.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to a teacher. Jake says, you guys speak to Talking Giants a lot. I love to get a preview episode with both you guys. I like Bobby Justin. I've never actually really interacted with either one of those. I know Chris has met them in person and he's worked with them.
Yeah, I've met them in person 4 or 5 times. Yeah, they're great guys. Haven't been as active with them this year, but I've been on their. I was on their channel actually last year before both playoff games. I was on their channel. I think that was the last time I was on there. Actually, no, I was on their channel once this offseason, but haven't been on their channel in the in season. But I'm sure if I reached out to Bobby, he would do something.
Yeah, without question.
He's a great guy. Both of them. I love Justin too.
Somebody said that was random. Oh, my guy Cheddar is in the chat. I didn't even see him there. Spike the like. That's right. That's right. Client says huge. Go get it, bro. Let's go. Let's get that stream trending that day. Let's put the WFAN on watch. Yeah, I don't think WFAN's got to worry about Chris and I at the moment. But it is really cool. Like I said, that made my day when I tweeted that out. And again, half joking, half not. I certainly did not expect him to respond. When I saw I retweeted it and then I saw him in my DMs, I was like, wow, that's really Carl Banks. That's pretty awesome. So it's cool. I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's gonna be a highlight of one of the biggest highlights I've had on YouTube. So it's pretty cool. There's really not much else to talk about. I mean, we had a game against the Jets. We beat a really bad Washington team. We covered the Daniel Jones thing. We obviously covered the WFAN Carl Banks thing.
Well, next week, Tuesday's actually, I think, the trade deadline. So there may be a lot to talk about with the Carl show. So
yeah, there you go.
We'll see. I mean, so we'll see if anything goes down with that. I think if we win, obviously less of a chance we'll sell. But if we lose, that goes up dramatically.
Yeah, without question. But like I said, there's not much more to talk about, so we're not going to keep you here long. It's Friday. Why don't you guys, girls, to do whatever you do on a Friday? Go enjoy your families, go out, go to dinner, go party. It's 11 o'clock. Things are just getting started. I don't know if young people do what I used to do when I was a young people, which was go out at 11 o'clock and party my ass off until about 3 a.m. and wake up and go to, well, you don't have to go to work at Saturday, but then, do it again the next day and the next day and the next day and earn the nickname Baddog. And we're not always proud of that, but there's a reason I have that nickname. I don't know if young people do that anymore. I don't know. I'm not a young people anymore. It's been 3 decades since I was a young people. So
I'm sure they still do it. I'm sure they do
too. God bless you. God bless you. There was, there was a thing that came out. And it was like 25 places women said that men should not take them on a first date. Did you see that?
I saw, yeah, only because you retweeted. I saw it actually. It was, but
Yeah, I just said I'm glad I'm
basically,
married.
it was a bunch of like fast food chains, and yeah, I don't remember, but it's like, who are you? Who are you? And what are the specifics of this first date? Because nowadays, and I haven't dated in a couple of years, but nowadays dating basically consists of meeting somebody online. I'm
Yeah.
not giving you I'm not taking you to a $200 restaurant on this first date before I've never even met you before. I don't even know if you're a guy before I meet you in person at the end of the day. So, I mean, it's the truth. So my first date, a lot of times when I'm going on my first date, I think about the girl as much as I do the guy. They're just as threatened as they're more threatened than I am. So you try to go to a public place, you make it quick, you make it easy. It's basically an interview. But yeah, I saw the list. I'm like, what are we doing here?
What's wrong with Cheesecake Factory?
There's nothing wrong.
I
with
like Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
I like Applebee's. I like Chili's. I like Chili's because it has free chips and salsa, and chips and salsa are one of my favorite things to eat. It's one of my favorite snacks. As a matter of fact, my cheat days tomorrow, guess what I got? Chips and salsa. And I went out and I got some oatmeal stout from Brown's because it's good. And you know what else I got? Because I wanted cannolis and they didn't have cannolis. I got a little 6-slice cheesecake. You're damn right. It's going down tomorrow. I'm doing it. But I did. I laughed. I'm like, God, I'm so happy I'm married. I'm like, what do the single guys do nowadays? Like, I can't even imagine what it's like to try to date anyone. I can't even, if anything, God forbid, happened, where I wasn't with my wife, and I'll be with her for the rest of my life, because if she's been with me for 25 years, she's stuck with me. But that's it. I would never, I couldn't, I don't have I don't know how the young people do it, man. I don't. God bless you. Starbucks.
Dating is a lot different than it was even 15 years ago. Like now it's the first date is basically an interview. That's basically what it is. It's.
But you got to take them to a $200 steakhouse for an interview?
No, you ain't getting no $200 steakhouse.
That's what I mean. Where you got nowhere to go but down from there. You don't take them to McDonald's. I get that. Chipotle was on there. Of course you don't take a first date to Chipotle.
Listen, Baddog, let's be real. At the end of the day, if a girl really likes you, you could take her anywhere and it's not going to matter.
Facts.
That's the truth. If you're a good-looking guy, you got a job and she's attracted to you, obviously you got to treat her right if you want to maintain the relationship. But if we're talking about first date, take her to a coffee shop. Who gives a shit? Right. She's still going to want to see you again.
Coffee. Not
That's
coffee.
It. Period.
Period.
That's my take on the first date thing.
Guy goes, when I was 20, that term wasn't even around. There was no such thing as twerking. There was no dropping it like it was hot. When I was 20, dude, it was 1995. Okay. So there was none of that. There was none of that when I was 20. There was no such thing. The internet was prehistoric. There was no chat rooms. There was no, what's the swipe right, swipe left? Tinder.
The Tinder, the
Bumble thing, the whatever. God only knows what the hell dating app. There was none of that. None of that. If you wanted to meet somebody, you physically had to go out of your house, get in your car, get out of your car.
And there was no texting. There was no. By the way, and I could do a whole segment on dating because hopefully I get back into dating in another year or so. But the dating nowadays, it's easy to catch them initially if it's the online thing, but it's the in-between date thing where it gets tricky because now texting is involved. Should I text her? Did I text her too much? How long should I wait to respond to this text? It's just an added element that makes dating so much harder than it should be.
One of these days coming soon.
It pisses me off, Baddog.
Right. One of these days coming soon. Chris and the Baddog talk about married life and dating life.
Yeah.
And it'll do, quite frankly, it'll do wonderful numbers, Chris. We're gonna bring all the single guys and the married guys together. We're gonna discuss things. We're gonna talk about what it was like when I was dating. We're gonna talk about what it's like to be married. Now we're gonna talk about the dating today. These girls they're kind of crazy a little bit. They want a man that's big and strong, quite frankly, got a lot of money. They want really nice things, frankly. But I saw Cheesecake Factory. I'm like, there was nothing wrong with Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
I did not see Delmonico's on the list. I'm like, I like a good Delmonico's. Delmonico's is a good chain. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I went on way off tangent, but I wanted your opinion because I just thought that was
fun. That was a good 5-minute segment.
A little segment, like I said. That's enough of that on this show. Like I said, maybe one day just for the hell of it, we'll do it for like an hour, and we'll see what everybody thinks. So, you got anything else to say, my man?
No, I had fun, man. Looking forward to Sunday. Come on by. We'll be doing the game.
That's
I think
right.
it's on my channel this week, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it is. Yes,
come
sir.
on by. We'll be live watching the New York Giants take down the New York Jets. And then Tuesday, Carl's coming on. So definitely be there for that. But had a lot of fun. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you guys for all the support. Looking forward to calling the game with you, Bad Dog, on the channel next. Hopefully we keep this winning streak up. What's our record this year? They won when we streamed on my channel for the Arizona game. Whose channel did we stream? Oh, yours last week.
Mine.
So you got one win, I got one. Hopefully we get the second one on my channel tomorrow.
The one thing I know is we are 2-1 on 1 o'clock games.
Yeah. Let's get the 3-1.
We're 2-1. We're not in prime time. We're 0-4 in prime time. So we got a good chance.
There we go.
Anyway, thank you guys for Ecuador, man. Thank you for super chat. Yeah, we're wrapping it up early, and there was a list of like 25 or 30 things that a woman did not want to do on a first date, and I just asked Chris if he happened to see that and what he thought, because he's a single guy that dates or will get back in a date or whatever. And I'm a guy that's been married for a quarter of a century, so
Listen,
I don't know anything about dating. But when I was young, that's not the way women were.
Listen, all you guys out there that date young guys right now, take her to a coffee shop, take her to a bar, get her one drink. That's it. First date, it's an interview. You're not going above and beyond. I don't care what these women say on Twitter where they want to be wined and dined on a first date. I'm sorry. If it's online dating,
think about what
the girl likes you, she likes you. Period.
Think about what that woman's demands are going to be for the rest of your freaking life.
Yeah, come on.
Right now, if she wants to get down with everybody under for a while, then you may have to step it.
And yeah, Authentic's absolutely right. Confidence is always the most important thing when it comes to anything in life. Whether that be making YouTube content, doing your job, talking to people, going on a date, of course.
You do it better when you're confident.
Being personable, yes, of course. But yeah, that's my take on the dating thing. Here's what I'll say, Bad Dog. If a girl complains that I took her to the Cheesecake Factory on the first date, I'm erasing her number at the date. I am not even. I'm walking out. I'll be like, I'm paying for the bill, but I'm gone. If you complain that I take you to Cheesecake Factory on a first date,
I'll tell you what. I'm not even paying for the bill. I'm walking out.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not.
I told you.
Is it good enough for you? I'm not paying for it.
I told you that happened to me once, right? For those of you who don't know, real quick story. Worst date I ever had. I took a girl out to dinner, right? And it was a steakhouse. Nice. I mean, it's not Roots Chris, right? It's not a high-end steakhouse. It's not Shula's. It's not a $300 meal place. It's a good place, and halfway through dinner, I gotta go. She goes, I'll be right back. She never came back. Never came back. I don't know where she went. I waited for like probably half an hour, 40 minutes, like a total idiot. And I remember the waitress coming over going, do you want me to wrap that up? And I'm like, yeah, wrap it up, because I was going to eat it. Because if I had to pay for both meals and she wasn't I was going to damn sure eat it. But that's the worst date I ever had. That was actually, I laugh about that now. I still don't know where she went or why. She wasn't feeling it, I guess. I don't know.
Never
at least eat your dinner. At least eat your dinner and say, the hell with this guy.
I've never had that happen. I will say I have had girls that have shown up to the date that have looked nothing like their picture. One looked like a cave troll. She looked like a beautiful. We got into a nonsense talk, but
we definitely do. Because this will get good. All right, let's get out of here before this is to be continued.
Yeah,
to be continued at a later date. All right, guys. Chris, thanks for coming on the channel, buddy. Really appreciate it. I'll see you Sunday. Guys and girls, enjoy the rest. It was not Ponderosa, but I love me some Ponderosa, Bobby. And again, see, this is Bobby from Twitter. I know because of the picture. Like I can put faces with names now. But trust me when I tell you, it was not Ponderosa, but I loved me some Ponderosa when I was a kid. I ain't gonna lie. All you can eat ice cream bar, the salad bar, damn straight. Ponderosa was an 80s thing. And no, it was Delmonico's. I love Delmonico's. Delmonico's is a good steakhouse. Hey here, Chris getting out of here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're dating, guys and girls, be careful out there. It's obviously very treacherous. For the entertainer, Target Sports, it's a bad Diggy Dizzle. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll see you Sunday. We out. Peace.